We got Iran-U.S. talks, trans-Nazi shooter, RIP Reverend Jesse Jackson, right-wing meltdown. Hold on. DHS Spox leaves. Talarico censored. Woke 2.0 beast mode. Twitch.tv/Hasanabi. New GOTs that change of pace. Latest episode just scored the highest episode rating ever in the GOT universe. Yeah. I don't know which one I hate more. Unsolicited IT advice or unsolicited health advice. Because I feel like both are annoying in different ways, but I don't know which one I hate more than the other. But it's very, very frustrating regardless. Very annoying. Anyway, we're blasting up. We're blasting off. I finally have a physical soundboard, so get used to it. You're gonna hear a lot more of these. You're gonna hear a lot more of these sorts of things. Just so you know. Playlist for later. Thank you. What is this? We are Share Spring Festival. Wishes you all happy Chinese New Year. Oh yeah, I did another China maxing story for the New Yorker as well. I got interviewed by a Chinese American reporter for another New Yorker piece that's coming out as well. And he also filmed the entire interview because he wants to like make it into a podcast or a Substack or something. So you need more sounds for the soundboard, Unc? I have more.
Do not come.
I haven't used all of them yet.
Do not come.
Yeah, I got a lot. So don't worry. I'll be using these throughout the day. And probably one of the best ones, I suspect, that I will be using is, hold on, where is it? I mean, I got this.
And pussy too.
Obviously, but then also, where the hell is it? Hold on. Oh, here.
Liberal. Happy fun, la la la. Human smuggling, fentanyl deaths, forced government euthanasia, chopping up children's genitals, la 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 la.
I got it. Don't worry, I got it. Chicago 7 did a piece on your interview with Brandon Johnson. Wait, really? What did they do? Crab dance for Netanyahu cancer news. Oh, you guys are so new to this, man. You're so new to this. Okay. Oh, wow. We just saw on Twitter a random account say that Benjamin Netanyahu has cancer. It's like, yeah, that's not how this works. Okay. 1, evil never dies. Okay. Evil never fucking dies. 2, don't believe random ass Twitter accounts that tell you something that's too good to be true. Okay. Love the soundboard. Makes me feel like I'm listening to the morning radio back when I was a kid while my dad crashed out over the Iraq war. Yeah, this is it. This is going to be exactly like that. Don't you worry about it. Okay, except a little bit different because obviously my soundboard has like insane stuff.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and
Hassan Piker.
So obviously. They called you an imperialist Marxist? Oh, I think they meant anti-imperialist, but they fucked it up, I suspect. Anyway, it's all good. ABC interview.
Also known by the online name Hasanabi, appears with Mayor Brandon Johnson in Los Angeles. The podcaster has become one of the biggest voices of the far left. Piker has debated the late Charlie Kirk several times, but his live stream with Johnson was anything but a debate, more a discussion about the mayor's progressive agenda and the people trying to derail it.
So there's been a massive amount of money to interrupt and disrupt our overall agenda.
Johnson blamed the corporate media and certain Democrats for being influenced by corporate money, including the 30 city council members who shot down the corporate head tax. As he has done several times, Johnson took aim at Chicago Democratic donor Michael Sachs and former mayor Rahm Emanuel. In addition, there was a slight dig at former President Barack Obama.
The Emanuel administration embodied the 1% of society. You know, I mean, everything that
He did that in the Obama administration as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like, look, and this might be a good time to just insert a thank you, Obama, if we're going to criticize him.
Piker is a self-proclaimed imperialist Marxist who has been accused of
Imperialist Marxist, anti-imperialist, anti ABC7. Come on, man. What the hell?
Like,
What
look,
the
and this
hell, dude?
might be a good time to just insert a thank you, Obama, if we're going to criticize him.
Piker is a self-proclaimed imperialist Marxist who has been accused of being anti-Semitic. Political analysts doubt the mayor's appearance will help his re-election efforts if the mayor chooses to run again.
He's got problems with his own base. He's got the challenge of reaching out to people who don't necessarily
Oh my
agree with his
God, the
politics,
audio is
and this
so
just
bad.
moving further away from that.
The conversation
Oh, hell yeah. The internet cut out too, right when I was watching that. Right when I was watching that! Come on, man. Come on,
Piker
man.
lasted over 35
Hold on. All right, we're good. We're back.
minutes. Political experts say plenty of material that could backfire during mayoral election season.
Doing a long form interview with a controversial host is a gamble. It leaves a trail of receipts, and when you have a half hour or 60 minutes of content, you are giving your opponents a lot to work with.
Hassan Piker also known
That's so funny. That's what you get for being a imperialist Marxist. Yeah, it's messed up. You're overdoing the sound bites. Shut up. Why are you making racist jokes about Poles? It makes me sad because I like you. What? What's cracking? Is the new meta once again? Hassan hates Polish people. Is that what we're doing? Anytime, bro. It's so funny. Anytime I say anything about another country being reactionary, everyone goes, "Oh my God, you hate every single person from this country." It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Why do you want all Polish people to die or something? Look, still spamming it. Okay, here, take up. I can't even fucking. This is great. I love that I can't even fucking use my moderation tools because my internet's out again. I'm on Polish internet. I'm on Polish internet, Poland internet right now. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh God, I hate this. I hate this so much. What a fucking day, dude. What a great start to a fucked up day. Fuck. What's the matter? The internet's just not working. It's not working at all. It just like keeps cutting in and out. No, it's not because of the rain. It's not because of the rain. I think they're just like straight up throttling the fuck out of me. Like they just don't want me to. Okay, I can't have a conversation right now. I'm sorry. Okay. Is someone using the bag? No, I haven't swapped it over to the backpack yet. And the reason why I haven't swapped it over to the backpack yet is because if I swap it over to the backpack, it's gonna DC. Anyway, that person literally was retweeting back in 2010, I guess, true friend to Israel related shit. So maybe that's the reason why they think I hate Polish people. I don't know. Maybe the communities that they're coming from. Anyway, do you guys have fiber in Los Angeles? Yes. I just choose not to get it because I hate you and I hate myself. Okay. I have the access. I have the capacity to get fiber and I choose not to because I like playing games on New Game Plus difficulty. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Anyway, I've kidnapped your internet. Wait for ransom instructions. I'm gonna die before I actually give you the ransom that you want out of me. I know everyone is gonna say it's the soundboard. The soundboard is eating your bandwidth. It's gotta be the soundboard. Oh, that's the person who said your interview will backfire on Brandon Johnson. She's a Democratic consultant who loves Israel. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm not long for this world at this stage, at this state. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this if it's this ass cheeks the entire day. Brother, get fiber, dude. Wait a minute. I should just get fiber internet. Oh my God. Congratulations, chatter. Dude, why didn't I think about getting fiber internet? This entire time, I had not realized that fiber internet was readily available. Thank you. I figured it out. I should just get fiber internet. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I didn't realize. Do you guys have another suggestion? Maybe fucking turn the router on and off again? You know, some brilliant fucking suggestions that I haven't thought about. You know? Because after all, this is my whole life. This is my life's work. And obviously I had not considered the 700 different things that you guys had actually suggested a million times over and have actually done them. And it's obviously not solved the problem. It's insane how fast they can install it. If there's a profit motive law, like our entire suburb got covered in fiber like 3 months with a few road closures. I don't even want to talk about this, man. Los Angeles is such captive territory to the oligopoly. Every ISP basically runs the show here. The couple different ISPs that they have here run the show in its entirety. It's really fucked up. Anyway, so that was the Brandon Johnson interview. Your boy is making waves. Your boy is making waves with the Democratic elite, it seems. Speaking of the Democratic elite, I will be interviewing Bernard Sanders. I have secured another like really fast interview before his rally tomorrow, before his billionaires tax the billionaires tour tomorrow. So we got that going on as well. So get excited for that. Let's start communist fiber internet right now, bro. Just get rock and stick. Okay, tons of possibilities. All right, thank you. Also, I want to get started by. Will you physically go down there? Yes, I want to get started by giving a shout out to the great Reverend Jesse Jackson, U.S. civil rights leader. Jesse Jackson dies at the age of 84. He was an iconic, heroic figure of American politics. I'm a huge fan. Rest in power to Jesse Jackson. Let's take a look at how mainstream media is covering his legacy.
The famed civil rights leader who marched alongside Martin Luther King Jr. and later ran for president has died. His family has confirmed he was 84. He died peacefully on Tuesday morning, surrounded by his family, they said in a statement. Aleem Makboul looks back at his life.
November 2008, Barack Obama and a moment of history. In the crowd, the tear-stained face of a man who'd done much to pave the way. The Reverend Jesse Jackson.
It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, change has come to America.
Born to a teenage single mother in Greenville, South Carolina, Jesse Jackson grew up in a world where black and white were legally segregated. In 1959, he won a football scholarship to university, but threw himself into the civil rights struggle that was engulfing America.
And there's a great swell of cheers to welcome Martin Luther King.
Under the leadership of Martin Luther King. Reverend King sent the young Baptist minister to Chicago to organize protests. On marches, the two men faced violent crowds opposed to the movement. Then, in Memphis, Martin Luther King was murdered in front of Jackson. The assassin was later arrested, having fled the country, but Jackson was never convinced he'd been working alone.
This man could not have stalked Dr. King.
Yeah, one of the craziest parts about this is that I think he was totally correct in his assessment that this was the work of like an organized body of people, which I think we all know who that organization might be. It's the FBI. And basically this was the reason why like everyone disparaged him in like mainstream media. They were like, oh, this is like, but Jesse was a Freemason as though, and his father, he was a Freemason though, but Jesse was a Freemason as though MLK Jr. and his dad. Okay. Take a perma, I think. Fantastic. I love parapolitics. My biggest fan. I love parapolitics weirdos who will literally take like, who don't even recognize that they themselves are basically operating at the behest of the State Department because they're so schizophrenic about like anything. Like it's the same motherfuckers that are like, oh, I don't know if you knew this, but Zohran Mamdani's dad, Mahmoud Mamdani, was airlifted into the United States of America by the CIA or something. It's like, brother, like, I need you to understand something. Okay? I need you to understand something. Especially when someone is like very clearly a fucking op, very clearly an op to the federal government. Like, how are you gonna be like, oh, MLK was a part of MLK was a part of like the secret Illuminati society that actually controls everything. Yeah, is that why they fucking killed him? You think that's the reason why they fucking killed him, dude? Like, who? Who isn't an op in your mind? I love the fucking schizoid, communoid, parapolitics losers who will be like, no, actually, literally everyone. And I mean everyone. And especially those who are actually outsiders to the fucking game of politics, who are leftists, who are socialists, who are Marxists, who sometimes even take up arms against the American government. Those are the ones who are actually the real agents of the state. At some point, you have to fucking recognize that you literally are an agent of the state, whether you recognize it or not, okay? You are behaving like a real fucking op.
Had the logistical operation, had operative alternative passports, and got out of the country with money alone.
A powerful public speaker, Jackson continued the struggle.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare.
Wait, though. I am 10 toes down for you, but Freemasons does not automatically mean Illuminati at all. Yes, but that chatter is bringing it up with the eye emoji to imply Illuminati references, okay? What the fuck do you mean? Oh.
But I am somebody.
In the 80s, he twice ran for president, but failed to win the Democratic Party nomination. But for the first time, a black man was a serious contender.
Our time has come. We must leave racial battleground and come to economic common ground and moral higher ground. America, our time has come.
On the international stage, he campaigned for a Palestinian state.
I think you guys can kind of understand why I'm obviously fascinated with Jesse Jackson in particular. Yeah, the Rainbow Coalition was a continuation of what Fred Hampton sought to do as well. It was a continuation of MLK's legacy, a class-first politics that still does not shy away from talking about the racial element of American white supremacy, but a class-first politics nonetheless. A class-first politics that focuses on improving people's material conditions unconditionally. And no, the little F's are going to cut in and out the entire day. Just know that it's going to happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, just it is what it is. It is what it fucking is. Okay. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm gonna fucking cry. I'm gonna cry. It's so devastating. Yeah, I have don't worry, I got Chuck Schumer right here celebrating his defeat in 1988 at the DNC. Why is it like this?
Creating a long rift with American Jews after some unguarded and offensive remarks. He persuaded Saddam Hussein to release human shields on the eve of the Iraq War. And as South Africa emerged from apartheid, the man who spent years maintaining American pressure against them.
I don't know how bad it is. I can't tell how bad it is because I keep seeing zeros on my end. Not just you, I got a too loose connection for a few seconds every few minutes. Oh, God. I don't know. People say it's not that bad. It's probably not great though. It's probably not great at all. And I have no idea. I have no way of telling how bad it is. It's pretty bad. It's been smooth for us, maybe smooth for some, but bad for others. I don't know. Is it next slide? It's perfectly fine for us, dude. Some people are saying it's perfectly fine. Others are saying it's not. I guess, I mean, it's, we'll see. We'll see how in and out, how much this works. I mean, this throttle also does diminish the reach, unfortunately, because like people just keep coming in and seeing that it's cutting in and out, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna fucking watch this shit then. At most is a 3-4 second pause. Great. I love that. I fucking love that. I love that. I definitely don't want to kill myself at all due to the way that this shit is working currently. Smooth from Australia, just out for about 5 seconds, but it's been okay since then. Love that. Love hearing that. Love seeing that. Fucking fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. All right. Anyway, let's get back to it. Jesse Jackson.
The system was there to watch.
What time is it?
From the 1960s to the election of Barack Obama, even to the Black Lives Matter movement of recent years, Jesse Jackson was a constant figure in American public life, determined to show generations of young black Americans they too could have a voice.
Well, our US partners CBS News are reporting that Jesse Jackson had been hospitalised for observation back in November. Doctors said he had been diagnosed with a degenerative condition. He had revealed in 2017 that he'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which affects the nervous system, which slowly restricts movement and daily activities. But Jesse Jackson called it a physical challenge. He refused to let it prevent him from continuing his civil rights advocacy. His father, Lewis Robinson Sr., who had Parkinson's, also died of the disease. He was 88. That was back in 1997. But Jesse Jackson had been suffering from some health conditions since he was hospitalised back in November, revealing a few years ago now that he is diagnosed with Parkinson's. Let's bring you the family statement that we have. They say it is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of civil rights leader and founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition, the Honourable Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr. He died peacefully on Tuesday morning, surrounded by his family. His unwavering commitment to justice, equality and human rights helped shape a global movement for freedom and dignity. A tireless change agent, he elevated the voices of the voiceless from his presidential campaigns in the 1980s to mobilising millions to register to vote, leaving an indelible mark on history. Reverend Jackson, the statement goes on to say, is survived by his wife Jacqueline, their children Santita Jesse Jr., Jonathan, Yusuf, Jacqueline, daughter Ashley Jackson and grandchildren. He was preceded in death by his mother, Helen Burns Jackson, father, Noah Lewis Robinson, and stepfather, Charles Henry Jackson. And they go on to say, the family statement continues, our father was a servant leader, not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world. We shared him with the world, and in return, the world became part of our extended family. His unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love uplifted millions, and we ask you to honour his memory by continuing the fight for the values he lived by. So that is a statement from the...
There's a video on his presidential run, the 88 campaign, or 84 campaign.
In 1983, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, civil rights leader and former protege of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., announced his candidacy for President of the United States. Jackson galvanized black people around the country to engage in a campaign for an office that most of us had thought a black person could never win. A black man or a black woman occupying the White House? That was the race's impossible dream.
Jesse Jackson wasn't the first African American to run for president. That would be Shirley Chisholm. But Jesse Jackson's run was incredibly exciting. It wasn't just we might get a black president. We might get a black president with a narrative and an agenda that actually represents what democracy could really look like in this country.
By the way, his 84 and 88 campaign, or his 84 and 88 campaign both were far more radical and far more progressive than modern day Democratic campaigns are. Okay. Like I mean, this guy was the fucking real deal. Okay. The OG. It's kind of crazy to think about. And he was, of course, like disparaged endlessly. He was attacked endlessly. And the Democrats at the time did not shy away from using whatever ammunition they could.
Young people across the country leapt at the chance to work on Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign, reaching out to voters far beyond the black community.
He brought the white feminists, the white farmers, the first GLBT leaders within the Democratic Party. He said, come and take a seat at this table. I have enough room for everybody.
Surprisingly, Jackson struggled to receive endorsements from many high-profile black...
Surprisingly. No, not surprisingly, actually. As a matter of fact, very unsurprisingly, you know who else was also a prominent? Now we have the rear view mirror, so we have a very different attitude on this. But if you recall, there was another high-profile, young, black Democratic Party presidency contender who also struggled to receive endorsements from high-profile black figures in the party. His name was Barack Obama. Okay? I'm sorry. This is just how the game is played. If you don't understand it by now, make no fucking mistake. He had to literally earn that shit with the Iowa caucus. Okay? He had to earn that shit. They wanted Hillary. It's true, by the way. For those of you who don't know, this is literally what happened. Do not let any motherfucker try to do revisionist history here. Barack Obama went through a similar struggle. Barack Obama went through a similar issue with earning the endorsements of high-profile black figures in the Democratic Party as well.
Politicians. Most of the black leadership was against him running. They had their own arrangements with the Democratic Party and establishment. They didn't think it could work, but he ran, and he did very well, better than they all thought.
3.5 million people cast their votes for Jesse Jackson. Some estimated that as many as 20% of the African Americans who voted for him had never voted before. Though he fell short of winning the Democratic nomination, Jesse Jackson's 1984 president...
Bro, I swear to God, this right here was another like 2016 Bernie versus Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump moment. Okay? 1984, Jesse Jackson comes in, DNC cooks his ass, okay? Actively destroys his mobilization efforts, and basically, lo and behold, you got the proto-Trump, Ronald fucking Reagan. That's why they say don't blame me. I'm from Minnesota, by the way, because Minnesota was the only state that fucking voted for Mondale over Reagan. Yeah, just, you know, lots of comparisons to be made here.
Presidential bid changed the political landscape forever.
Long before there was a Barack Obama, there was a Reverend Jesse Jackson, and he was lifting up little kids all across
I'll be
America.
honest, the real comparison here is not a Barack Obama. The real comparison here is a Bernie Sanders, but obviously I'm too white to be making that comparison. A lot of people are going to be like, hush now, little white baby, but the reality of the matter is a more accurate comparison would be a Bernie Sanders.
Believing that they too one day can become president of the United States. He taught us that our voices matter.
Because the reality of the matter is Barack Obama won, right? Like, Barack Obama won. Whereas, and he was able to secure the endorsements by the time he was, the established candidate, right? And we also know how he governed after he won the presidency. He ran on a very progressive platform. He secured the endorsements. He won the primary. And then he kept up with a relatively progressive campaign in the general as well. And then he fucking turned around and governed like a Hillary, right?
Leverage the power of our vote.
Why are you lying, Hassan? Why am I lying? About what? Do you want me to, I mean, do you want to get into an argument while I'm effing in and out? Like while my internet is cutting in and out? Is that what you want to do? You want to get into a fucking long, convoluted, heated argument right at this moment, you think? Anyway, here's another testament to the DNC's like machinery. Here's a clip of Chuck Schumer bragging about blocking the Jackson Plank, which was proposed in the 1988 DNC platform item by Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign supporting Palestinian self-determination. You might recognize a person who is speaking in 1988, celebrating blocking the Jackson Plank in 1988.
I usually begin my speeches by saying I'm glad to be here. I'm not quite sure that's appropriate tonight. That when I walked up the stairs, I was pushed. That when I came here,
Great. I fucking love that, man. I love
Now,
this
if you
shit.
don't want to hear the other side, then don't stay in this room. Go wait for your candidate and listen to him and make yourself feel good. Okay? If you don't want to listen to the other side, please leave. I may not convert you to my point of view, but I will tell you something. If you believe in your argument, you can withstand very easily the argument from the other side. And so if you can't, then I ask you to leave. Let me remind you the last time I was booed publicly, and this was the last time, was something you all abhorred, because I was the leader in the fight against the pro-Palestinian Jackson plank at the Democratic Convention. And I got up on that platform and I said just what I thought. And certain other states got up and booed my speech. So that just as tonight.
It's so crazy that like Chuck Schumer has been Israel first for like his entire political experience. Like this is yet another glaringly obvious example of him just being like anti everything Jesse Jackson represents, including running on a platform for Palestinian self-determination in fucking 1988. Okay. The only time when you see him this energized, the only time when you see Chuck Schumer this energized is when he's speaking at like some like American Jewish conference or something like that, where he's just sitting there and talking about how excited he is to make sure that Israel gets unlimited support. Link, please. This is on my Twitter page. I quote retweeted this.
The MC had to get up and say, give the man a chance to be heard. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Perhaps it didn't surprise me that it happened there. It surprises me that it happened here. Folks. Hey, Bob, I deserve a little courtesy, don't you think? Don't you think, Bob? In conclusion,
it's not working.
There's one man there who's clapping his hands and booing. It reminds me of the old Sid Caesar routine like this. I usually begin my speech.
The struggle against the left flank that centers working class politics has been ongoing for far longer than these last election cycles. R.I.P. Jesse Jackson. It's once again, once again another, another instance. Senator Schumer says Jesse Jackson was an icon. Chuck Schumer now, of course, tweets, Jesse Jackson was an icon of the civil rights movement and a fearless warrior for justice for all people. He was one of the most powerful forces of positive change in the country. America is far more equal and a just place thanks to his work. My prayers are with his family and all those who were inspired by him. As we honor Reverend Jackson in the coming days, I will be thinking of the many lessons he taught us. Like, no matter what, I have to fucking make sure that there's no Palestinian self-determination. Okay? Here we'll do a history of Jesse Jackson's legacy from marching with MLK to building the Rainbow Coalition by Democracy Now! And then we'll move on to the MAGA family annihilator.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. We're continuing our look at the life and legacy of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who died today at the age of 84. A civil rights icon, two-time presidential candidate. We're joined now by two guests. Larry Hamm is a longtime civil rights activist. He's chair of the People's Organization for Progress. He was co-chair of the Jackson for President campaign in New Jersey in 1988. Also a Jackson delegate at the Democratic.
It's just so crazy because, like, there is no reward. You know what I mean? Senator Chuck Schumer follows you. Will you have him on the show? No, he doesn't. The fuck are you talking about? Of course he doesn't follow me. Are you insane? It's like, these people like Jesse Jackson were on the right side of history, okay? Unflinching, unyielding, always correct, okay? Always fucking correct. And they got punished endlessly for it. Some people who were also on the right side of history got killed for being on the right side of history, for having conviction, for believing in the cause of justice for all, for believing in egalitarian principles and acting on it, not just sticking to words, but acting on said principles. Our American history is filled with people like this, okay? Our American history is filled with brave civil rights legends like Jesse Jackson, who unfortunately just passed away, but was punished endlessly throughout his advocacy, throughout his activism, throughout his career. It's very, very frustrating to see these monsters that offered setback after setback after setback on numerous occasions, only to turn around and be like, wow, their legacy, we always loved it. We were always a fan, you know? Yes, Mamdani delivered. I know. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about all of that. Okay? I'm going to get into that.
National Convention then, and the former president of the New Jersey chapter of the Rainbow Coalition. And we're joined by Clarence Lusane, political science professor at Howard University, the director of the International Affairs program there. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Professor Clarence Lusane, let's begin with you. You woke up this morning with this news of this historic figure having passed, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Your thoughts on his significance, on his life and legacy?
Good morning, Amy, and good morning, Larry, as well. Yeah, my phone has been blowing up with texts from not just people here in the U.S., but from around the world as the news spread. I want to echo what Bernie Sanders said about Jackson's contribution. Jackson's life contributed to making this country more democratic, more inclusive, more fair. What Jackson was able to do was to marry movements, grassroots movements, with electoral politics. Prior to the 1980s, a lot of activists who were working on issues from anti-nuclear kinds of concerns to peace issues to civil rights had a kind of sketchy relationship with electoral politics. And Jackson saw that that was a vehicle for being able to bring this country to its principles that it espouses. And so in 84 and in 88, Jackson was doing two things. One was building an electoral movement that would make the Democratic Party and electoral politics more democratic. But at the same time, he was also building a movement outside of that, the National Rainbow Coalition, which picked up the mantle from the civil rights movement and from what Dr. King and others had been doing in the 1960s and brought that into the 1980s and beyond. And his contributions were not just domestic, of course, but also international, not only working with folks who were working around issues like human rights and peace, but just a range of concerns that people had around the world, including, of course, the anti-apartheid movement.
And talk about that, especially for young people who aren't so familiar with the movement to take down apartheid in South Africa. And going back to 1966, the March Against Fear in Mississippi.
You need people like this. You need 1 million. You need tens of millions of Jesse Jacksons. The reality of the matter is the work never ends. The struggle always continues. You need people who say, nah, this is fucked up. You know what I mean? Whether it be the apartheid in South Africa, whether it be the apartheid in Palestine, you need people to continue pushing that advocacy. Okay? That's why I never discourage people from protesting. I never discourage people from changing their minds. I never discourage people when they actually come to that recognition, no matter how late it is, because we don't have the time, nor do we have the opportunity, the privilege to say no to people who come on board with these decisions, come on board with these movements. Okay? We need everyone. Especially considering that the powers that be will do everything. We don't have the luxury. Thank you, Chowder. That was the word I was looking for. We don't have the luxury to just fucking push people away, to say, it's not for me. It's fine. You know, we have to work. We have to work within the system to the best of our ability. We have to work with people that we disagree with from time to time. We don't have the luxury. We don't have the resources.
Oh, up through, what was it, 2000, with the fight around Gore and Bush.
Yep, the 1966 March Against Fear happened in Mississippi. This was 3 years after King had given his speech at the March on Washington, I Have a Dream speech, and Medgar Evers had been killed. And James Meredith, who was a local activist in Mississippi, started a march. He was shot during that march, but that then galvanized the entire civil rights movement to come to Mississippi. So Jackson was there, King was there, Stokely Carmichael was there. That's where Stokely Carmichael made his famous statement about Black Power. And that's important because what we see with Jackson is that he brought together the disparate parts of not only the Black political movement, people who were nationalists, people who consider themselves socialists, people who consider themselves liberals, even Black conservatives. Jackson would galvanize and rally when he ran in 88 and 84. But Jackson also brought together people outside of the civil rights community and outside of the Black community. And so that was really kind of a turning point. So then we get to 1983, and there's a big celebration of the 20th anniversary of the March on Washington. But it's also a protest against Reagan. Reagan had been elected in 1980 and launched the harshest anti-civil rights presidency to that date. And so Jackson and civil rights leaders and trade unions and others called for this march. And at that march, there had been a grassroots movement growing, and it swelled, Run, Jesse, Run. So this wasn't Jackson just saying, I want to be president. This was a recognition of Jackson's work, his moral and political clarity in that moment. And he launched not only his presidential campaign, which many of us worked on, and Larry was critical in that, Ron Daniels, Jack O'Dell, others, but he also launched the National Rainbow Coalition. And they worked in parallel. And as Bernie said and others have noted, the reason Barack Obama becomes president in 2008 is because of the work that Jackson and others like Fannie Lou Hamer, who made sure that the Democratic Party would democratize and change the rules of the game so that when Obama ran in 2008, he was running under very different circumstances than even when Jackson ran in 1984 and 1988. And Jackson...
I guess this is one way to get some Black History Month on the stream. I mean, come on. Yeah. Here, let's hear a speech from Jesse Jackson talking about the neoliberal Democratic Party's refusal to even attempt to appeal to the working classes, let alone organize them. Okay, this is around the Reagan era.
We're gonna stop the rocks. It's been laying around and pick them up. That's right. In 1980, Reagan won Massachusetts by 2,500 votes. There were over 100,000 students unregistered, over 50,000 blacks, over 50,000 Hispanics. He won by 2,500. Ted Kennedy State. Rocks just laying around. He won Illinois by 300,000 votes, 800,000 unregistered blacks, 500,000 Hispanics. Rocks just laying around. You won.
Jesse Jackson got rat fucked with the Clintons in the Dem primaries, who bombarded him with openly racist campaign ads and messaging. There are a lot of reasons to despise the Clintons, but that's one of the biggest ones. The Clintons used racism to sink an ascendant socialist figure who would have won in a landslide if the Clintons had essentially rigged the primaries and got out the racist white folks to sink him. Jesse Jackson and his politics will be very familiar to you if you're like a post-2016 Bernie bro. Okay? If you're a post-2016 Bernie bro, the attacks against them also were obviously far more consequential than even Bernie Sanders at the time, because like material conditions had gotten far worse by 2016. So people were way more invested in an anti-establishment figure as opposed to back then. And not only that, but also the shine of like New Deal Democrats was still very much firmly captured in the hands of the establishment Democrats in general. So that is part of the reason why it was like it seemed virtually impossible back then. But the slant that he ran on and his advocacy was damn near identical to the advocacy that you see nowadays with the Bernie-crats, with that same exact movement, what I like to call left flank candidates. Okay. The left flank candidates and their advocacy was very similar. It was a working class first. It was class first politics. It was a uniting message on the boundaries of class rather than other culture war narratives in general. And yeah, it's not even.
In 1980, 3 million high school students unregistered to vote.
Even down to the non-voters, like even down to going after non-voters, trying to organize non-voters and activate them into voting. Okay?
Now they've been registered to draft. Rocks just laying around. 11 million college students
I gotta pee.
who could have chosen jobs over jails, peace over war, that didn't vote. Now they're crying. Rocks just laying around. Reagan won 8 southern states by 182,000 votes. But there were 3 million unregistered blacks in them same 8 states. Rocks just laying around. He won New York by 165,000 votes. 600,000 students unregistered. 900,000 blacks. 600,000 Hispanics. Rocks just laying around. 1980, Reagan won Pennsylvania by 300,000 votes. 400,000 students unregistered. More than 600,000 blacks unregistered. Reagan won Pennsylvania by the margin of despair, by the margin of the fracture of our coalition. Your time has come. Pick up your slingshot, pick up your rock, declare our time has come. A new day has begun. Red, yellow, black, and white, we're all precious in God's sight. Our time has come.
How depressing is that this same exact speech is the most relevant today still? Chatter. This is the exact same reason why you look back at my commentary from 10 years past. You look back at the stuff that I was writing about. You look back at the stuff that I was saying in 2016 and onward. And the reality of the matter is the issues are the same and my advocacy is the same. This is just how it is. This is how it always is. This is how it's always been, especially in a place like the United States of America. If you are a socialist, if you're a Marxist, if you are a progressive, if you are to the left of the Democratic Party, you see these problems, you recognize them, you want to solve them, you communicate how we could solve them. Slowly but surely, you start realizing that the hurdles are the same, the problems are the same, the setbacks are the same, but nevertheless, we still continue to organize. But that is the reality. You got to take advantage of the opportunities given to you, the opportunities to organize, and you have to be persistent, you have to be stubborn, and you just have to keep pushing. Yeah, the history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles is true. I fucking butchered saying hitherto. I don't never know. I never learned how to say that word. Hitherto. Hitherto. Civil rights movement was built upon very similar work done in the 30s and 50s. Yeah. The struggle continues So that's why I always say, look, man, I'm a socialist. Whenever people say, oh, Hassan, this is a setback far too large, what do we do here? What do I always tell you? Oh, man, we took a big L here. What do I always say? I'm a socialist. My entire life has been one L after the other. And yet we still continue. Because as long as these issues continue, you can't fucking cave. You can't buckle. You can't give in to some of the worst, most powerful forces in society telling you you have to stop. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing, especially when you know your cause is just. You do it for those who were lost in the battle, and you do it for those who remain. Anyway, it is what it is. It is something you have to internalize, though. You have to have a backbone. You have to understand, like, especially in terms of the advocacy surrounding Palestinians and Palestinian self-determination, right? Here's Jesse Jackson, civil rights leader, accused of anti-Semitism for advocating for Palestinians in the fucking 80s, mind you.
You offended the Jews, and about you were sick and tired of hearing about the Holocaust. To say that when we're not sick and tired of hearing about black lynchings in the South and so on, I mean, we're still sympathetic. And what incredibly bad timing.
After visiting the Holocaust site, the tour guide asked me how did I feel about it. I said, one has to have a sense of tragedy, and I think it's real tragic. I said, and the phrase that many Jewish people use, never again, really should apply to everybody, because all of us should say never again to fascism, because this is the logical conclusion of fascism. So you say, well, you make it sound as if it's just a humanitarian crisis when it's in fact unique. I said, well, as a social scientist, I choose to use the word tragic. He said, but unique. I said tragic. I said, I read Trail of Tears. I know how the Indians were exterminated. 60 million blacks were lost between Africa and America. Other similar situations. And so he became offended because I chose to use the word tragic rather than unique.
Yeah, he was right. And he wasn't too early. He was right, but he wasn't too early even back then. It's just that society was not ready for it. But even back then, there were plenty of thinkers who recognized right from wrong, who understood the similarities, who understood that the very same ideological forces that committed the atrocities during the Holocaust were the exact same ideological forces at a different time doing the indigenous extermination, doing 400 years of colonial extraction, slavery, mass rapes, the death and destruction of black people from Africa. It was the exact same ideological motivation. It was fascism before fascism was able to materialize as a solid political movement, right? Before it was fascism, it was colonialism. Before it was colonialism, I guess it was I don't know what you would call it at that point. But the reality of the matter is that it was the same old tragedy in many respects. The exceptional nature or the consistent demands of singling out the Holocaust, especially nowadays, is weaponized against the plight of Palestinians. Anytime you make any sort of comparison between what took place with the Nazis, what they did to 6 million Jews and millions of other people as well, Slavs, people who had disabilities, gay people, trans people. When you compare that to the genocide that Israel is committing against Palestinians, people say, no, you can't do that. Never again just means never again for us. Never again just for Jews. That's not what never again is supposed to be about, okay?
It reflects a certain hypersensitivity that we must have a new formula in the Middle East that represents more balance in our policy. We must be concerned about Palestinian justice, Lebanon's territorial integrity protected, and normalized ties with the Arab world. That must not be considered offensive.
When quotes like that come out about the Holocaust and so on, who would be out to discredit you so by getting that kind of misquote?
Well,
if it is, as you say, a misquote.
Many Jewish people were insulted and outraged by virtue of the fact that we accepted Arafat's invitation to go to Lebanon. And therefore, and there were many who simply attempted to sabotage the trip by trying to discredit us and therefore make our meeting with him an irrelevant trip as opposed to a relevant trip. One of the guys who helped to deal with our ticket arrangements, getting a travel agent, he became so irate over the fact that we were going to meet this anathema, this guy called Arafat. And he just simply went in a rage and lost all sense of emotional balance. He did a press conference.
I mean, this is a man who worked for you?
No, he did not work for us. See, that was a lie he told. He did not work for us.
When you had your picture taken hugging Arafat, that, of course, offended a lot of people who strange bedfellows to be.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. How dare you? How dare you communicate with the other side? The other side that we obviously choose to undermine, the other side that we never want to offer a voice to, because if you never actually recognize the other side's humanity, then it's much easier to disparage them. It's much easier to dehumanize them. It's much easier to justify all of the atrocities that befall the Palestinian people, right? So we here in the heart of empire play a very significant role, a role that I try to play to the best of my ability, right? We have the opportunity to show the other side. We have the opportunity to give a voice to the voiceless. We have an opportunity to listen to their demands. We have an opportunity to humanize them to our friends, to our family members, using the platforms that we have at our disposal. They will always try and stop it. And this is not just the Palestinians versus the Israeli society and its military conquest. This is the same for every group, okay? It's the same for the Venezuelans. It's the same for the Cubans. It's the same for all of the dispossessed masses that American imperialism and Western imperialism chooses to dominate. Okay? That's why there is always so much resistance. And that resistance should be expected. That resistance should always be expected. It's one that I expected when I had 35 people watching me. It's one that I expected when I had 350 people watching me. And it's one that I certainly receive every single day with 35,000 people watching me. Right? That's part of the reason why I've always maintained a position where I want to make sure that I have the most reliable base of support through a subscription mechanism rather than one that relies on ads, rather than one that relies on contracts, rather than one that relies on corporations. I'm not like tying this back to, subscribing to the Piker Broadcasting Service. I'm just simply telling you that's precisely the reason why I do things the way I do. Right? The reality of the matter is these are setbacks that you have to be ready for. These are setbacks that you have to expect. No matter what happens, there will always be naysayers out there, people who seek to disparage you, people who seek to undermine your message, and you just have to keep pushing through. You have to keep pushing through regardless, as long as you know your cause is just. This is something that you have to remember. People will say a whole bunch of nonsense. You speak out against Israel, to call you an anti-Semite, as they did with Jesse Jackson. You speak out against American imperialism in Venezuela, to say, oh, well, you want to destroy the Venezuelan population. You don't care if they die. When in fact, it's actually the American government's design that is killing Venezuelans, right? That denies them sovereignty. Same with people in Cuba. It doesn't matter what people say. You can't listen to naysayers who are either deluded into thinking that you are a bad person, or people who are cynically weaponizing these other forces at play: racism, white supremacy, Nazism, fascism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, people who are very well aware of the social conditioning that exists and will choose to weaponize it against you. Right? Just got to keep pushing through it.
Hugging a member of the PLO, an organization not unassociated with terrorism.
It's a matter of respect. In that part of the world, one of the common cultural ways of greeting people is with an embrace and a hug on both sides.
Yeah, this is the same shit where people say This is the same shit where people say, Hassan, oh, you're pro-Hamas. You're an anti-Semitite. Just like John Fetterman was saying the other day. Hassan, you're an anti-Semitite. You're pro-Hamas. You're pro-Hamas. It's like the Palestinian people have a legal right to resistance. Okay? That's just what it is. Take it up with the fucking international community if you have a problem with that. Take it up with international humanitarian rights. Okay? Palestinians have a legal right to defend themselves, their lives, their dignity, their sovereignty against a settler colonial state that is seeking to wipe them out. Look, they said the same shit about PLO.
In 1984 that he got hammered for and his relationship with the Jewish American voters. He denied this at first.
He eventually acknowledged that he made those comments. It was said in private and he thought he was off the record with some reporters and it ended up being in a newspaper and he apologized for it. This has always been the third rail in American politics and it was even more so then than it is now. Back then, it was not okay to even talk about Palestinians. The U.S. government policy was not to even speak to the Palestinian leaders at the time who were considered terrorists. And when Jesse Jackson said that we should be seeking a two-state solution, in the 80s, that was not a thing. The other thing is that he brought Arab Americans into the political process in a way that they had not been brought into the process before. And that's a legacy that I think still sticks with that community.
For more, go to podcastplayground.com.
There is some new trouble to tell you about tonight between Reverend Jesse Jackson and Barack Obama. And Fox's John Gibson is here with more on that. Hi, John.
Thanks, Martha. Barack Obama is about change, the Reverend Jesse Jackson says. Starting with the Middle East, we're quoting Jackson now, decades of putting Israel's interests first will end. In an interview in France with Amir Tahiri of the New York Post, Jackson said, Zionists have controlled American policy for decades and will lose their clout when Barack Obama enters the White House. Today, the Obama campaign reacted quickly by saying Jesse Jackson is not an Obama advisor, and Jackson is, quote, therefore in no position to interpret or share Barack Obama's views on Israel and foreign policy. Jackson's untimely quotes could have an effect on Florida and some parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania, where the Jewish vote is important. Obama's team further said no false charges can change Barack Obama's unshakable commitment to Israel's security, and as president, Obama will ensure that Israel can defend itself from every threat it faces. While keeping a
couple things to pay attention to here. Some things never change, and some things change dramatically. Establishment liberals, of course, will rat fuck the people that brought them along, the people that helped play a role in getting them to the position of power. That's number one. Barack Obama behaving like an establishment Democrat here. But something that has changed dramatically is the Fox News coverage. Can you imagine Fox News offering fair and balanced coverage as opposed to now in a situation like this? I'm just saying, this is considered fair and balanced reporting, especially in comparison to even the fucking New York Times coverage now. You know? I feel like Fox News back then, which was foul for the record, foul to Barack Obama, foul to anyone that was ostensibly to center left, like liberal, more liberal than Ronald Reagan. They were foul, right? But even then, this looks like more fair coverage than what CNN's Jake Tapper would offer to Barack Obama nowadays. Think about that. Think about how some things do not change at all. And think about how much certain things have changed. A relic.
Obama's denials in mind, I'd like to remind you of my comments last week on Obama's close relationship with Rashid Khalidi. Khalidi and his wife were personal friends of the Obamas in Chicago, as well as somebody who donated money to Obama and someone to whom Obama steered grant money in his position at the Woods Fund. According to the LA Times, Khalidi once acted as a spokesman for the PLO and a negotiator for Palestinians in peace talks, and Obama once said Khalidi opened his eyes to a different point of view. Obama's history with one-time PLO spokesman Rashid Khalidi makes me wonder if Jesse Jackson's error was simply that he spoke out at the wrong time, just 20 days before the election. Write to me at Gibson Radio at foxnews.com. Check out the radio show, XM1 at 168, Sirius 145, and
someone said,
yeah, Jesse Jackson, 2003. Don't attack Iraq. Yep. All you get for being on the right side of history is just an endless amount of fucking scrutiny your whole damn life, your whole damn career in advocacy. That's all you fucking receive, dude. Straight up. Straight up. You can be on the right side of every issue your whole damn life. And when you finally pass, they'll turn around and say, the very same people that actually caused you so much ire your whole life, that rat fucked you, that basically did everything in their fucking physical power to stop your movement, to stop your advocacy, will then turn around and say, in the most like whitewash, reputation laundered way possible too, they'll turn around and say, oh, he was great, he was a brave hero, and we fucked his movement up every single step of the fucking way. Chuck Schumer is not unique in this regard. I know we covered Chuck Schumer's statements now versus what he had said in 1988, taking credit for destroying the Jesse Jackson plank on Palestinian self-determination. But that's just how it is. That's how it always will be.
How can you do these things, Reverend? You're always out marching and you're demonstrating and you're willing to go to jail and you're going from nation to nation, and how do you reconcile that with your religion? Well, my religion obligates me to do that.
Okay, like legit feedback from a 41-month subscriber. For what it's worth, the soundboard makes your stream less watchable. My wife literally made me turn off one of your YouTube videos I was listening via premium on the drive home because she was so annoyed with the soundboard. No ideological problems here. It's just really annoying and repetitive sounding. I don't mean this as any hate, just feedback. Bruh. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, well, to you, chatter, I say...
And pussy too.
Yeah, that's right. That's a bad take, and we're going to keep using the fucking soundboard, okay? I also have this to say for you and your wife. Okay? That's all I got. I'm going to keep using the fucking soundboard. I don't even care. I am going to keep using the soundboard every now and then, especially because...
We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame, we'll fight for the gospel, we'll honor his name.
Yeah, so just, keep up. Nice, sweet wife flex, by the way. Respect to you. Respect to you, chatter. Blammo. I mean, that's all I got. Do you realize your fame and influence can vanish in a day? Be nice to your bosses / where your money comes from. My fucking bosses are you, okay? You are my bosses. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people, okay? So that's the only group of people that I'm held accountable to. But having said that, if they're going to fucking turn around and... get upset about my usage of the soundboard, then for them, I don't really have anything else to say. Even Reddit likes it, unless you sort by controversial. It's on, wow, I'm losing viewers, going to dual streaming. Also, it's on, it seems like people like it. Or is it the uncleization and he's becoming jank? Remember when some of us chatters politely told you the bull hair wasn't cutting it? I mean, I'm not going to use it aggressively unless you guys, unless you tell me that you're annoyed by it, at which point I will actually keep hitting it. I'm not going to overdo it unless you fucking tell me to not use it, at which point I will overdo it. Let's continue.
Religion obligates me to go to South Africa and witness. My religion obligates me to go to the Middle East and try to offer a peace plan and reconcile Arab and Jew. My religion obligates me to serve. And so I think that those of us who take our religion seriously, who would follow the mold of Christ, must teach and preach and do it in and out of season. The one fact is that we live our lives as if life is certain and death is uncertain. Death is certain, life is uncertain, and therefore, to that extent, we can make a choice. And so I fight in this struggle now, not because I'm afraid I might die, because if I die, I do not have to face the problems. I fight this fight because I'm afraid I might live, and if I must live, I certainly want to live in a world that's moving in a different direction than the direction it's moving in now.
Why did you choose to be a Baptist minister rather than a politician?
Well, I was chosen. I did not really make that as a conscious choice. I did not decide that blacks would not have access to public accommodations, but because we did not have them, and when I became conscious of the implications of apartheid, then I made the decision to fight to overcome apartheid within American society. I did not choose for blacks not to have the right to vote, but once I became conscious of the implications of that, I chose to fight for the right to vote. I did not choose for blacks not to have open housing, but once I became aware of the implications, I chose to fight. I did not choose the Vietnam War, and therefore choose to begin to become involved in international politics. But once I became aware of how much money was being wasted in the Vietnam War, how many lives are being lost, how many people were being killed, how the innocent were being sacrificed for the greed of a few, then I chose to become involved.
Spamming the soundboard doesn't just ruin the stream. Okay, take a week off. Again and again, I'm going to keep explaining to you that I don't give a fuck about your opinion on this. Okay? Keep ignoring me. Please actually listen to people, and if you use it sparingly, but genuinely a lot of us take a day off. Okay? Let's continue. Take a day off, chatter. Okay?
In that process. And so to that extent, many of my battlegrounds have been chosen for me, but since my conscious state, I have determined that the rest of my life will be spent trying to right these wrongs and trying to inspire people to believe that they can do something about it.
I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare.
It's so funny because the reason why I think this conversation, before I get back to Jesse Jackson, the reason why I think this conversation is so funny is because all the adults basically want me to just pay attention to them and their current concern rather than do the actual fucking work, rather than do the actual coverage, rather than discuss back and forth like, you know, Jesse Jackson's importance in American politics. They are the ones who are childishly turning around and being like, well, you used the fucking soundboard like 25 minutes ago, and I've still been stuck on that. It's very one note for me. I'm hyper fixated, and it's been very frustrating for me. So I just want you to literally only discuss this now rather than whatever the fuck you want to discuss. Ironically enough, you are the one who's childish. Okay? You are the one who's being childish. And I know me listening to what you have to say or even blocking you is only going to make it worse. Okay? But I just need you to understand, like, your entitled attitude is not going to fly. Yeah.
But I am somebody.
No way he drops the know you argument.
But I am somebody. I may be uneducated, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful. I must be respected. I must be protected.
World mourning the loss of a civil rights giant.
Our flag is red, white, and blue.
By the way, notice how like some of the coverage around his legacy is noticeably omitting key parts of his advocacy. If you notice, like in mainstream media, they'll either briefly mention the pro-Palestinian advocacy or they don't mention it at all.
Our nation is rainbow. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight.
Reverend Jesse Jackson was one of the most prominent politicians in the 80s and 90s, blazing the trail for generations to follow. All of his life, the Reverend Jesse Jackson preaching, exhorting, demanding justice in a quest to help his people and nation overcome.
We ain't the bottom. We the foundation.
Always marching. Civil rights nonviolent soldier. There he was, shoulder to shoulder with Martin Luther King Jr. after witnessing the beatings of Bloody Sunday on television. Jackson eventually became one of the top lieutenants in the critical Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which challenged the Jim Crow South's withering oppression. A witness to history, he was there on that fateful April evening when King was struck down by an assassin's bullet.
I tried to feel his head, and I asked him, I said, Dr. King, do you hear me? Dr. King, do you hear me? And he didn't say anything.
After a leadership struggle with King's successor, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Jackson split from the SCLC and formed a new organization, People United to Save Humanity, PUSH.
Beautiful.
After Dr. King, I don't think anyone captured the spirit of America like Reverend Jackson, and he took the movement north. I think Jesse Jackson was the link from that generation.
Man, I used to think Jesse Jackson was so extreme when I was a child with how my parents and media talked about him. It's embarrassing for me now to have felt that way knowing what I know now. I mean, it's all good. You now are armed with the knowledge. It's good for you to move on from that, right? You've become a new person. Your third eye has opened, right? Whatever you want to call it. If you're a spiritual person, that's like, one way to look at it. What matters is not who you used to be. What matters is who you are now. And that transformational experience can actually make you a better advocate. That transformational experience can make you a better organizer because you are now equipped with the knowledge of the social conditioning that other people have, just like yourself. Now you know what steps it takes to make this transformational change. And you can use that in your advocacy. You can use that when you're talking to other people.
Of King and them all the way to my generation and then the generation behind me.
The first wave of the civil rights movement had succeeded in breaking down significant barriers, but Jackson's primary focus was on economic empowerment.
We know that we're worthy of respect and protection, but nobody really knows our name, and so we're really still struggling.
He broke boundaries in politics, twice running for president, first in 1984 under the banner of a rainbow coalition. In 1988, he was, for a time, the Democratic Party's frontrunner for the presidential nomination, before eventually losing the nomination to Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis.
I'd rather go down in the stirring fight than drowse to death at the sheltered shore.
Jackson also took on the role of freelance international negotiator, meeting with some of the world's most brutal tyrants.
Overseas, the American
world's most... Wait, hold on. Let's run that back. What, I'm sorry, what? What?
On the role of freelance international negotiator, meeting with some of the world's most brutal tyrants.
Overseas, the American black activist Jesse Jackson has become an intermediary in the Middle East.
In 1984, he met with Syria's Hafez al-Assad.
Goodman and the Reverend Jackson arrived at Andrews Air Force Base,
securing the release of downed American naval officer Lieutenant Robert Goodman. In 1990, he held talks with Saddam Hussein to free foreign nationals being held in Iraq as human shields. And in 1999, he went behind enemy lines again to meet with Slobodan Milosevic to negotiate the return of 3 American prisoners of war.
True.
At times, he was a spiritual advisor, counseling President Clinton in his darkest hour, facing impeachment over a sex scandal. But Jackson had his own moments where he fell far short of what he had championed. In the mid-1980s, facing controversy for allegedly making a highly offensive remark about the Jewish community.
God is not finished with me yet.
Oh, just let it hang. Let it hang. What was it?
And as an ordained minister, having to admit in 2001, he had fathered a child after an affair with a former staffer. Although somewhat diminished, Jackson leaned in on his faith of forgiveness and redemption and kept fighting, keeping his eyes on the prize. He saw one of his hopes realized on election night.
What was it? Let's see the clip. We already covered it. It was when he was talking about the Holocaust being a tragic incident, a tragedy, to basically confirm the point that this was a tragedy not dissimilar to the indigenous genocide, a tragedy not dissimilar to chattel slavery, that it was the not unique nature of the Holocaust in terms of like thousands of years of human cruelty that was so frustrating. That was the controversy. And it was, of course, the reason. I can't believe that they fucking didn't even mention his advocacy work for Palestinian self-determination and only slapped on the whole like, well, he had some anti-Semitism allegations. Obviously, that kind of stuff carried a lot more water for a very long time. That kind of sentiment carried a lot more water back then. Nowadays, when someone actually says that someone actually says that and you look into their background and you realize that they were like literally spending years and years. I think they're talking about when he says slurs, not the Holocaust part. He did apologize and make amends. I thought they were talking about, they said the statement about the Holocaust not being they said that he was undermining the Holocaust, like the impact of the Holocaust. Is that not? Or, oh, he used outdated racial slurs? Well, regardless.
In 2008, in Chicago's Grant Park.
America, I have never been more hopeful than I am tonight that we will get there.
He wept as President-elect Barack Obama delivered his victory speech. In recent years, the effects of age and a long illness had slowed his gait, but not his spirit. Jackson goes.
We got another weirdo in the chat. Not unique genocide. What? Hassan, I fucking wasn't. What the F? Actual fuck? You think I've been stalking you for years? Okay, chatter. I'm going to give you a day off for your own sake. Hopefully, you will get back to your medication. Okay? I'm going to remind you, med check right now for all the chatters who might have forgotten to take their medication today, including you, chatter. Okay, I have no idea who you are. I do not think you are stalking me. I don't know where you came from, but I'm gonna give you a day off for your own safety. A good reminder for everybody to take your medication.
Going public with his private health battle, dealing with a myriad of health issues. He was hospitalized in Chicago in mid-November and released a few weeks later. Through it all, Jackson's faith and hope in what America could be endured. Jackson's family saying he passed away peacefully in his sleep. He was 84 years old.
America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. I love you very much.
So the life of a person who at times seemed larger than life comes to a close. There were many facets to Reverend Jackson. Perhaps the thing that defined him most was a deep understanding and a connection to the struggle that African Americans have faced in a march toward a more perfect union. On a personal and professional note, I saw that when we were colleagues at CNN. He made clear he was rooting for me as a black man to succeed. There he was introducing me to former Vice President Al Gore. He loved his people. Guys?
Yeah, sure did.
And he certainly did. Absolutely tireless.
Yeah.
He never, ever stopped working for the causes that he believed in.
And we were certainly thinking of his family this morning. Pierre, our thanks to you.
This morning, police in Rhode Island are trying to piece together what led to these chaotic moments at a high school hockey game. Video capturing the sound of gunshots at an ice rink.
All right, we're gonna talk about this now. Sorry, I was just looking through. All right, this is probably one of the top news stories that's impacting right-wing Twitter today. We have another incident, another very American incident that we are all, unfortunately, all too familiar with. There was a mass shooting that took place at a hockey game yesterday in Rhode Island. And I'm going to go through the details of the situation. I'm going to be covering exactly what took place, and then I'm going to be addressing the misinformation that right-wing media is throwing around. No, this was not an Order of the Nine Angles style mass shooting incident. Okay, and the interesting part about it is that even liberal media is also refusing to cover a very important angle here. A very important angle that makes this shooting not as unique as the way that they are presenting it. Obviously, the person, you will find out, was, I think, trans or a cross-dresser. I'm not entirely sure, especially because there's not really like a lot of coverage on it, or a lot of decent coverage on it. Having said that, however, this was yet another instance of right-wing domestic terror, okay? Because you will realize very quickly, even when you look at this photo, that the person, regardless of the person wearing a dress in this photo, who is the shooter, has a fucking SS and a Totenkopf tattoo. They were a goddamn Nazi. Some of you are actively practicing insanity. Assange says that the more you complain about something so unnecessarily, the more he will do it. So if you don't like that, okay, dude, he's still talking about the soundboard while we're talking about a fucking mass shooting that took place. Lock in, okay? Lock the fuck in. That's right. Not only did this person have a fucking Nazi tattoo, they literally were posting MAGA. They were constantly in the fucking replies of all of these like right wingers. So was fucking Hitler. So fucking what? Not a Marxist. Right of Hitler, actually. Try again. Post-op trans to the right of Hitler. So try again. They were a Nazi that had a higher degree of priority of being a fucking Nazi, in my opinion, than being trans. Okay? And it's not even like their account is readily available on Twitter. And I browsed through the account. They were replying to Nick Fuentes over and over again. They were reposting Alex Jones. All of these fucking right-wing figures, they were all up and down the timeline. Here it is. Roberta Dorgano, also known as T-Girl Cuda. Okay? Their last fucking retweet was James O'Keefe, Thomas Massey, Alex Jones, Marjorie Taylor Greene, numerous other right-wing accounts that they replied to over and over and over again. Okay, I think had mental issues is correct in this case. Wild fucking pose. Of course this person was mentally ill. They weren't mentally ill because they were a trans person. They were mentally ill because they were a fucking neo-Nazi. The problem here, of course, is that right-wing Twitter, who this person was very much a part of, by the way, very much a part of, is now turning on the shooter, of course, and being like, oh, it's because this is a Nazi. This is not one of ours. This person is not one of ours. Okay? This person had fucking SS tattoos, man. Like, how much more proof do you need? I don't want to like misgender the fucking shooter, but I don't know. I mean, I might accidentally do that. I hope people don't fucking get mad at me for this, okay? But the point is, they were abso-fucking-lutely a huge Nick Fuentes fan. For example, if Lindsey Graham went out and did a fucking shooting, would you think that Lindsey Graham's, potential homosexuality would play a role in this? Or do you think Lindsey Graham will be doing a shooting because they're a fucking far-right figure? I don't think anybody would be like, oh, well, there you go, another gay guy doing a mass shooting. You would go, okay, that's a fucking psychopathic Republican that did a family annihilator thing, except Lindsey Graham obviously doesn't have a family. That's the point. But of course, a lot of right-wing figures that were firmly a part of this person's fucking community and advocacy work have turned around to say, oh, well, this person was trans. That's why they did it. That's why they did it. Fucking ridiculous. And centrist liberals are also playing along with this, for the record. Let's take a look at how mainstream media is covering the story.
This morning, police in Rhode Island are trying to piece together what led to these chaotic moments at a high school hockey game. Video capturing the sound of gunshots at an ice rink.
We have shots fired, multiple people down at the which arena.
Bystanders racing to safety. Police say the shooter opened fire around 2:30 Monday, killing 2 people and critically injuring 3 others.
There was one lone suspect, that this was a targeted event. It looked like it was a family dispute.
Overnight, authorities identifying the shooter as Robert Dorgan, who they say also went by Roberta Esposito. Social media posts showing Dorgan discussing getting gender reassignment surgery and recently responding to attacks on a transgender congresswoman, writing, quote, "Do not wonder why we go berserk." Police say,
yeah, the media is also hitting the angry trans panic angle pretty aggressively because it's not as interesting. It's not as interesting if you look at the actual full body of work here, right? It's dog bites man if it's another fucking neo-Nazi killing their family, right? But it's man bites dog if it's a trans neo-Nazi who shot their family. Thousands upon thousands of posts talking about 1488, talking about fucking how they're to the right of Adolf Hitler. And what makes the national news coverage interesting for the likes of ABC Today is the fact that they are trans and angry. October 6th, 2025. That's okay. Trump will have his own Rushmore. I call it Trumpmore. My libtard neighbor called Trump a communist. Yes, they vote from 2017. They tortured Trump. Time to even up. May 4th, 2025. Take that, Trump supporters. In 2024, obviously saying that sarcastically. Responding to Alex Jones in January 10th, 2025. Obviously anti-Trump, burning the country down, throwing a hissy fit. July 7th, 2025. Biden gropes every single thing he sees, but Trump's the problem, right? August 27th, 2025. Yeah, but Trump returned before Jesus. Fucking ridiculous. This, in my opinion, is straight up an abdication of duty and responsibility. Of course, you're going to mention that the shooter is trans, right? That's fine. That's understandable. Okay? It's a unique aspect of their background. But the very fact that you do not mention that they're a MAGA Trump supporter and a fucking neo-Nazi means that you're heavily invested in a biased framing that the right is weaponizing right now. At a time when trans people are fucking completely under attack. As a vulnerable population, they've been in the crosshairs of the Republican agenda over and over again. Anytime something happens, remember, we made sure that the weird trans folks, they can't play football anymore. They can't fucking swim anymore. As though that's somehow solving people's material issues. Yeah, they also used to be a pro-Israel. And then they became a full-blown groiper, and probably around the second Trump administration, probably post-October 7. You don't see this shit in Israel because 14-year-old girls carry assault rifles in pizza joints. Fact. October 3rd, 2017. White Christian Israel equals chosen. September 15, 2017. So they were pro-Israel and obviously super pro-MAGA first time around. They kept being super pro-MAGA, became anti-Israel, and became a Nick Fuentes fan. Nick rules. December 24th, 2025. It's unfucking bearable seeing this slanted coverage. It's insane.
It appears the suspect died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, adding authorities retrieved multiple firearms from the scene. They say one person tried to subdue the shooter.
A Good Samaritan stepped in and interjected in the scene, and that's probably what led to a swift end of this tragic event.
The gunfire erupted in the middle of a senior night game featuring players from several local high schools, including goalie Olin Lawrence.
At first, it was like,
hold on. It's effing again. I have to wait this out real quick. Server timed out, disconnected. Oh, buddy. Oh, brother. All right, we're back, I think. I think it's reconnecting now. Okay, small F saved. All right, good. Because I can't tell how bad the disconnection is on my end. It looks like it completely went out. Okay. It was only a mini one? Okay, on my end, it looked much more devastating.
Olin Lawrence.
At first, it was like pop, pop, and I thought it was balloons, but it just kept going, and it was actually gunshots.
As chaos erupted in the stands.
Me and my teammates ran right to the locker room. We pressed against the door and just tried to stay safe down in there.
Just over 2 months after a mass shooting at Brown University killed 2 students and injured 9. Rhode Island's Governor Dan McKee saying, "Our state is grieving again."
What are the odds of the person faked being in a side, either pretending to be trans or pretending to be a Nazi? I think the odds of both are incredibly low. I think this person was most likely, questioning their sexuality and their gender because they kept saying post-op. Okay? So and also they are definitely a Nazi. They had a fucking SS tattoo. Okay? Not just the Totenkopf tattoo, but an SS double lightning bolt underneath the Totenkopf. That person is 100% a fucking neo-Nazi. I mean, it's crazy. So they were very likely both trans and also a Nazi. And for the record, this is not unique. Ironically enough, right-wing media talks about transgender mass shooters, and so does liberal media every now and then, right? Almost every single trans shooter, both the one in Canada and the trans shooters in the United States of America, have been neo-Nazi groiper trans shooters. The problem is most people don't look into it beyond transgender shooter. They go, oh, this person is a transgender shooter. That's it. It's actually the most common type of shooter. If you were to look at the ideological breakdown of mass shootings and school shootings, you will find that the overwhelming majority, if not damn near entirety, of mass shootings and school shootings that have taken place are conducted by even black people at times, which is unique, right? It's still a black white supremacist, a groyper, a neo-Nazi. There was a female shooter, a school shooter. Again, unique demographic, because the overwhelming majority of school shooters and mass shooters are white men, straight white men, cisgender white men. And yet what's not unique about all of these different demographic backgrounds of shooters is the fact that they are groyper neo-Nazis. It's people that actually go to these forums, become red-pilled, become black-pilled. They go to Telegram groups called Terrorgram in certain instances. This person obviously doesn't fit that profile. He's too old to be a part of that network. But in any case, very clearly, a person that went through that same pathway of radicalization, their transness is secondary to the fact that they are, once again, just like the overwhelming majority of these mass shooters and school shooters, a fucking neo-Nazi white supremacist. But because most people have deluded themselves into this false notion that, like, transgenders are responsible for all of these fucking shootings or whatever, they don't even understand. They don't even realize that this is more common than they fucking think.
Never thought that something like this would happen, especially with kids involved. It's something I can't really wrap my head around.
And Pawtucket police say the shooter was attending the hockey game to watch a family member. A woman who identified herself as the daughter of the suspect to other local media said, quote, he shot my family and was very sick with mental health issues. Local, state, and federal authorities, including the FBI, now on the ground and investigating exactly what happened. Craig and Hoda.
Emily Acata-Force there in Rhode Island. Em, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning.
It's so crazy that the mainstream news is literally doing the mentally ill trans person narrative. Like, it's crazy how far we have fucking fallen.
An investigation.
It's crazy how far we have fucking fallen, dude. It is wild. This is so close, by the way, to the MAGA guy in Texas that shot and killed his own daughter. Another MAGA dad. The fact that the very same people that were in the same spheres, trafficking in the same narratives as this shooter, are now once again turning around and saying, oh my God, this is because they're a woke transgender, is fucking crazy. Okay? The only reason why they can get away with it, however, is because liberals allow them to get away with it. Mainstream media allows them to get away with it. Mainstream media allows them to get away with it by hyper-focusing on the transgender part of this person's identity. 14 seconds this time. Just hold the line. We're gonna get through it on the other side in a brief moment. It is what it is. Unfortunately, this is it's cutting in and out. No matter what happens, it's worse than before. Small latency dip, but coming back. Yeah, if you lower the latency on your end, if you lower the quality on your end, I'm pretty sure you can overcome the fucking Fs. But the delay will be fixed in a moment too. We're good now. I think we're on the other side. Okay, it might go out again, just so you know. But yeah, even this person, Matt Von Swole, right? Like, this person is like a tech guy who is super far right now, and he says, I have lost the will to be tolerant of dangerous mental illness patients walking the streets of America and pretending it is normal. It is not normal, nor is it kind. It is cruel for future victims of their violence and cruel to the mentally ill to indulge in their delusions. This fucking post prominently features this person's SS tattoos, to which I replied with, I agree, some MAGA people are dangerously and violently mentally ill and they need to get the proper health care before they snap. Right? Oh my God. Oh my God. It's fucking, my internet is so bad. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for it to come back. It blows my mind that there is a pattern that plays itself out over and over again that is so consistent in what leads, what kind of radicalization, what kind of mental illness leads to like violent incidents. And it's almost always far-right neo-Nazi behavior, far-right neo-Nazi radicalization. And yet, it's not your internet, dude. It is 100% my internet. The cutout isn't obviously because of your connection. It's Twitch and Amazon server issue. There's nothing anyone but Twitch can do about it. You're not right. You're 100% wrong. You're 100% wrong. I know for a fact that it's my internet because I'm getting literal warnings from my internet right now. Oh, God, I hate this. I hate it because then it's like the conversation revolves around like, oh, it's your internet. It's not your internet. It's Twitch. It's this. It's that. I know what it is. It's my ISP. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay? There's nothing we can do about it. It literally starts as soon as I start live streaming. Okay? Come on. We're going to get through it. I'm going to get through it. I'm not going to lose my fucking shit. I'm not going to lose my fucking shit. I'm not going to lose my mind. Calm down. Stop bringing it up. Nobody really cares. Brother, are you aware of the chat? Are you seeing the chat? Nobody cares. It's the only thing people care about. It's literally the only thing chatters are talking about in the chat. Anytime there's a minor or major crash, not only does chat lose their fucking minds, but also on top of that, everyone starts rolling in with their suggestions. Backseat IT specialists. It's 100% the same exact issue that persists with my internet service provider that clearly did not weatherproof. Clearly did not fucking weatherproof the internet. Oh, God. Oh, my God. It's going in and out again. Oh, and then people go, you should move to New York. You should game more. Okay. I'm gonna keep pushing through. All right. As I was saying, another far-right neo-Nazi does the family annihilator move, as they're known to do, and instantly the very same people they retweeted are talking about trans identity. Also, to every shameless centrist floating trans disapproval polls right now, you disgust me as much as the right-wing freaks do. Because there's the other side of the story, the normalization of this kind of sentiment. Liberals could approach the story and go, here we go, another MAGA neo-Nazi piece of shit that did the unthinkable. The unthinkable that is unfortunately all too common. A person who very clearly is in the Trump cult doing what people in the Trump cult do. Behave in an incredibly unstable and insane way. And yet, I saw, what's the fucking guy's name? That centrist pollster, he blocked me. That centrist pollster who turned around and instantly and claimed that this is a good time to bring up the trans disapproval ratings in the country. Okay, does anyone have the link for that? It was insane to me. Not Nate Lead, not CN liberalism. Lakshai Jain was the one who put it out, but I don't know if other people are also promoting it now. I'm sure it's gaining a lot of fucking momentum. Yeah, the trans rights backlash is extremely real and very worrying for progressives. This is literally hours after people found out that the shooter was trans. Immediately, this fucking dickhead. The trans rights backlash is extremely real and very worrying for progressives. The public is aligned with conservatives on several issues like sports, restrooms, and minors' access to care. It is possibly the worst issue for progressives if it's ever polled. Here's an example of how much ground progressives have lost on trans issues. In 2016, Dems won North Carolina on the back of the bathroom bills backlash. Those bills were quite unpopular in 2017. They are now 20 points above water. 52% for, 33% against. Imagine a self-described liberal centrist pollster coming out and being like, guys, Democrats have to drop this black rights advocacy. Sorry. Another black person engaged in a fucking mass shooting. We just got to drop this. It's underwater. Like, think about how fucking psychotic that is. And unfortunately, you don't even have to think about that hypothetical. Because given the penchant for centrist Democrats and establishment Democrats and the consultancy orbit that revolves around the Democratic Party apparatus, they might start saying that shit too. It's all a matter of how little advocacy work they engage in. It is the most psychotic thing to do this. The most psychotic thing to do this. It is so transparent what this fucking asshole is doing. They did this with immigration. They did this with trans people. They're still doing it with fucking trans people. It blows my mind. Okay? The idea that like a singular representative is representative of the broadest pattern, that this actually means we have to stop defending trans people, because that's the point here. The point that Lakshya Jain is making here is cut it with this trans shit. Put him on the chopping block. No more advocacy for trans people. We can't do that. No more transgender advocacy. These guys are too violent, or at the very least, the approach by the masses is that they're violent, that they're weird, that they have to be cut out from the public conversation. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous for two different reasons. Number one, if you claim that you're also no longer on board with trans people, you're not actually going to win any voters doing that. All you will do is normalize the anti-trans rhetoric, as Democrats have done. The polls shifting from being overtly pro-transgender rights to anti-trans is a direct byproduct of the Democrats' lack of interest in addressing this issue at all. That's number one. So it's already bad politics, because what comes after the sequence of anti-trans, trans-panic narratives is obviously anti-trans bills and a normalization of the claim that trans people are outsiders that no one should be protecting, and the bills that come along with that, not allowing trans people to get like the proper medical care, for example, right? That's number one. Number two, you must look at the polls on the trans issue in 2017. Why was it that the public actually favored pro-trans rights back then? Perhaps it was because Democrats did not shy away from doing advocacy work. They didn't worry about leading on this issue. And that's precisely the reason why the issue was bad for the Republicans. The lesson to learn from this is not to concede on some of these culture war narratives, because concessions on these culture war narratives allow the Republicans to win on these culture war narratives, and they don't stop. It's not like the Republicans turn around and go, see, the Democrats actually don't care about trans people anymore. I guess we will be more normal about their trans advocacy. No, they just keep saying all you care about is trans people anyway. Okay? And this is not just about trans people, which are less than 1% of the fucking population. This is about every issue that the Democrats cede territory on. This is about undocumented migrants. This is about migrants in general. This is about white supremacy. This is about anti-blackness. This is about every single issue that the Democrats lose territory on to the Republicans because they don't counter message at all. They are not invested in advocacy work. They're not invested, and they consistently take a defensive posture, and that's why they consistently fucking lose. They look spineless. They look hypocritical. They look like they were caught with their fucking pants down. No one truly believed that Kamala Harris was going to, for example, lead the most lethal military. They just saw it as, oh, Kamala Harris is going to do more wars. Perhaps we should vote for the anti-war candidate, Donald Trump. This was ridiculous, right? It's not like Donald Trump was the fucking anti-war candidate, but he was at least smart enough to present himself as such when Kamala Harris was saying, no, we're going to do more war. Same thing goes for building the wall, for example. Democrats spent a good deal of time attacking the Republicans on their immigration strategy, their anti-immigrant sentiment. They won on a pro-migration agenda. Joe Biden won in 2020, directly attacking Donald Trump's cruel and ruthless white nativist policies. By 2024, they had completely conceded on the immigration agenda. People didn't forget that Democrats were pro-immigration. But now that the Democrats were saying, no, we are the real anti-immigration party, we're just going to do it in a reasonable way, people heard that and thought, oh, you're a fucking hypocrite. Running scared is the problem here. Democrats consistently run scared. And then they have an entire communications apparatus and consultant structure that tells them they must run scared. They keep telling the Democratic Party, the establishment Democrats, that they must run scared, that they must concede on these issues. They do not have to concede on these issues at all. The other side of the story that is also endlessly frustrating, and this is something that I talked about with respect to Kamala Harris's campaign and why it was inevitably going to lead to a loss, most likely that it was a dangerous gamble over and over again. But the other side of the story is also what the Democrats don't run for. The Democrats don't run for things, they run against things. Okay? They run against the Republican Party. And when you do that, and when you run scared, and you become the diet, watered-down version of what the Republicans are offering, of course people are going to end up voting for the Republican Party, the real thing anyway. If the Democrats ran for things like health care for all, like an adequate housing policy that revolves around building housing units and even social housing units, right? Government-funded housing units. If Democrats ran on free college education for all, universal policies, then the Republicans would not fucking have the opportunity to turn around and be like, well, I know they want to give you health care, but also they want to give trans people health care too. That's a far better strategy that would also protect trans people, because the conversation would shift away from whether or not the Republicans want to kill all trans people and the Democrats want to kill 50% of trans people, to Democrats want to give you health care, Republicans care about silly shit. They care about 1% of the population. What are you, fucking crazy? Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? It is that simple. Democrats need to do away with this running scared narrative, okay? It's not good politics and it's not good policy. All it ends up doing is actually normalize the right-wing attitude on every issue. It doesn't win a single damn vote from the other side. And it makes the independents in the middle, and it makes the Democrats in your base think, okay, maybe the Republicans were right on this issue. It doesn't make them think, you guys have a reasonable approach. It makes the unreasonable approach that is championed by the Republicans look reasonable. And when the option is the diet watered down version of fascism versus the full thing, the real full strength fascism, people go, okay, if that's the reasonable approach and my Democrats that I voted for are telling me that's the reasonable approach, maybe Trump is not so crazy with this stuff. That's it. If the Democrats ran on healthcare, the conversation surrounding transgender athletes participating in high school swim meets would look fucking stupid. Which one is a better argument? We're going to give everybody health care. We're going to give everybody housing. You don't need to worry about shelter. You don't need to worry about upward social mobility. We're going to offer that to you. Or constantly talking about whether or not 14-year-olds can participate, self-identifying transgender 14-year-olds can participate in fucking high school swim meets. Which one do you think is a better, more reliable message? Republicans would look like silly, perverted fucking weirdos constantly thinking about children's genitals if the Democratic alternative coming from the Democratic Party was, we care about fixing some of your material problems. But the Democrats don't do that because they're the fucking controlled opposition party. Do you understand? The pathway to protecting our trans allies, our trans brothers and sisters, our neighbors, also revolves around class-first politics and class-first advocacy, universal programs. Because every moment that you spend defending universality in these sorts of programs is a moment where the Republicans have to attack that, force them to position themselves against the idea that you deserve health care, force them to position the Republicans against the idea that you don't actually deserve to have a federal jobs guarantee. Enough with this fucking running scared narrative. That's it. That's it. These guys don't understand why the public used to be a lot more favorable to the progressive view on trans rights. Because back then, at the very least, the Democrats tried to advocate for trans people a little bit. Asman is saying trans people should be removed from population by being hospitalized. Asman Gold and his followers, I would say, should be removed from the population by being hospitalized, but they don't need to, actually. I don't need to do that advocacy at all because they never go outside anyway, and most of them are in Europe regardless. So we don't have to worry about those guys at all. All they do is chirp, chirp, chirp online. They don't exist in the fucking real world. A week ago, many doubted this statement of yours. Today, libs are already caving to trans terrorism propaganda because they think that's the way to go. You're yelling at one of the few... Yeah, the very same people. I want to see what they're saying about trans people now, by the way. I want to see what guys like this who called me out are saying now. Because we got one example, Trey Easton, who had a lot to say. Trey Easton, that fucking ogre's staffer, Trey Easton, John Fetterman's staffer, Trey Easton, had a lot to say about my takes on the Democrats writing out trans people from the equation because they are running scared. Trey Easton, only a week after yelling at me for sharing that sentiment, proves the sentiment itself. I think about this specific development a lot. Yes, the right worked hard to raise salience and villainize trans people, but this sort of sea change isn't just the result of a focused propaganda campaign. We lost people, and how we try to get them back matters. Hasn't been a fucking week. Hasn't been a full week. What happened? This is what I said a week ago. And they clipped it, and they shared it widely. You're yelling at one of the few people that does give a fuck about trans people in general, okay? That's all you're doing. Democrats don't give a fuck about you. They would literally shoot you in the fucking head if it meant that they would be able to secure additional electoral wins. Shut the fuck up. Bro is using this tragedy as a gotcha moment. You think this is only a gotcha moment because the very same people that yelled at me for this take are now doing the exact same thing that I was talking about. Okay? You fucking moron. The only reason why you're chirping right now is because you feel at least a shred of embarrassment. I don't want this to be a gotcha moment, you fucking idiot. I want this to be a moment where you recognize you are literally seeing it happen in less than 7 fucking days. It hasn't been 7 fucking days. It's been 6 days. How else can I use this moment to educate people? How else can I use this moment to show you that the Democrats don't even have to do this? They're just telling you that they have to do this, and you're falling for it. Fucking insane. 36,000 likes.
Hey, in 2.5 years from now for lunch, do you want to have a piss sandwich or a poop milkshake? Are those my only options for lunch that day? Yes. Ideally, I'd like to have some better options by then. Ah! This man hates democracy. Hey, in 2.5 years from now for lunch, do you want to have a piss sandwich or a poop milk?
It blows my mind that the people on the one hand are doing this advocacy, while on the other hand, like they are literally fulfilling exactly the promise that I delivered, which was that centrist Democrats at the first sign of friction will fucking sell off trans people and then try to sell it to you as though this is a electoral mechanism that works. This is an electoral strategy that fucking works, when it clearly didn't work. It's not like Kamala Harris was running around talking about trans people. They didn't even have a fucking trans speaker at the DNC. These sorts of things, these sorts of aesthetic points matter, right? Kamala Harris didn't have a single trans person speak at the DNC. Kamala Harris didn't have a single Palestinian person speak at the DNC. They were very actively writing out trans people. They were actively writing out undocumented migrants from the equation, migrants from the equation in general. They were writing out Palestinians from the equation. And those who cared about those sorts of things, they were saying, like, this is how we're going to win. This is how we're going to win. And they fucking lost. If they had won, at least they could have an argument. We could have a totally different conversation. If Kamala Harris was president right now, I'd still obviously be criticizing her. I'd be saying, look, you wrote out trans people, you wrote out Palestinians, you wrote out undocumented migrants and migrants alike. That was a disastrous policy, specifically because now you're advancing the same cruel measures. Because I care about the people. I care about the policies. I don't care about a fucking D victory over an R victory. I care about what that impact is. I care about the impact of said victory. It blows my mind that people are turning around and fucking like very 6 days after yelling at me saying, how dare you say the Democrats would sell off, Democrats would write off trans people, are literally in the process of writing off trans people once again at a moment where the media narrative could just as easily be around this shooter's MAGA and neo-Nazi identity rather than the fact that they are also trans. It blows my fucking mind that these guys are just like immediately rushing to say, no, this was a weirdo trans guy. And as Democrats, we don't fuck with trans people either. That's not going to make people vote for you, you fucking idiot. That's not going to make people vote for you. It's going to make you look like a fucking hypocrite because you are. You're a goddamn hypocrite. You don't care about anything. You don't even want to win. It's like 99% of fucking mass shooters and school shooters are all neo-Nazi groypers. And the one time or the two times that there's a trans shooter, they're still a fucking neo-Nazi groyper. But everybody goes, oh, well, there it is again. The trans are acting out. It's fucking ridiculous. If a dude has a whole ass totem cough and double lightning bolt SS tattoo on their arm, but they're also wearing a dress, and you focus on the dress, that's on you. That's on you, brother. It's fucking ridiculous. How many times do I have to make this argument over and over again? That's crazy. If Nick Fuentes grabbed a weapon and did a fucking school shooting, would you go, oh, he did this school shooting because he's gay and Mexican? Or would you say he did the school shooting because they're a fucking neo-Nazi? Pretty sure you would go, that's a neo-Nazi. In this hypothetical. I'm not saying he's going to do that. His fans certainly seem to do it, though. Like this last trans neo-Nazi who did. Hassan Piker claims trans people wouldn't be safer under a Kamala Harris presidency. I didn't even say that. Professional misunderstanders, by the way. It's not what I said. I said Democrats have a tendency to write off. Democrats have a fucking tendency to write off marginalized identities and marginalized communities because they think it's electorally beneficial, when in fact it's not electorally beneficial. It's going to take many of us getting lynched for Dems to have a pussy-ass lukewarm take. Trans, neo-Nazi, MAGA, Nick Fuentes supporter doing a mass shooting for them to immediately prove the point I was with these idiotic. I wouldn't have said it quite like that, but they're not wrong. Who's not wrong? I told you that your argument was basically a turf one. What is this? 99.9% of fucking school shootings are done by, or mass shootings are done by fucking cisgender, heterosexual white men who are right-wing as fuck, who are neo-Nazis. The one time as a trans person, everybody goes, oh, this is how the transgenders are. You're a fucking psycho. Okay? You're a fucking psycho. You're an insane person. It is completely fucking ridiculous. Okay? I was reading whatever the chatter was talking to another chatter. The turf thing was the turf thing was just about, an inside conversation that became an outside one because I read it. The chatter wasn't implying that I was making a turf opinion. They were saying another chatter was. Don't listen to that. Don't focus on that. Anyway, it's also crazy because this is a sequence of more MAGA dads. A MAGA dad killed his wife and shot his daughter over a football game. Why is MAGA so violent? A Florida MAGA man, Jason Kenney, killed his wife and shot his 13-year-old stepdaughter over an NFL game. Okay? A father killed his own daughter because of an argument over Trump. Don't argue with MAGA. Write these bastards off. They've left the reservation never to return. They said it was a misfire. Here's that story. A British woman shot by her father in prosper over Trump argument.
In the UK just wrapped up, concluding the death of a British citizen here in North Texas was unlawful.
Lucy Harrison was shot in the chest. It happened in January of 2025. Her father told police his gun accidentally fired and hit her. The Collin County DA's office declined to comment on the case, but there were no charges. Fox 4's Amelia Jones has more on the case, making headlines here and abroad. Amelia.
Heather Casey, gun laws in the U.S., specifically here in Texas, are very different from England. In regard to the police investigation, no criminal charges were filed and no arrests were made. However, since the victim was a UK citizen, she's entitled to an investigation according to the law in England and Wales. In the UK report released this week, based off of the evidence, that report found 23-year-old Lucy Harrison's death an unlawful killing. In January 2025, 23-year-old Lucy Harrison came to visit her dad in Prosper. The UK native never returned home. She was shot in the chest inside her father's home and died at the hospital.
Okay.
Body camera footage shows what her father, Chris Harrison, told Prosper police that day.
Getting ready to go to the airport and we were talking about guns, and she said, "You got a gun?" I said, "Yes." I got it out and it just went off as she stood there. As I pulled it out, it went off.
The Prosper Police Department told Fox 4.
Of course, this is not illegal. This is the most Texas story of all time. He's not even being punished for it. It was fucking crazy.
After it completed its investigation, it sent it to the Collin County District Attorney's Office for further review. A grand jury
They had argued. She went to leave. He called her into his room and shot her. He claimed he was showing her his gun.
Issued a no bill on the case. No arrests were made and no charges were filed. But overseas,
is that guy getting deported or what? No, brother. He's a patriot. He's a fucking patriotic individual, a patriotic style individual. What do you mean? The ultimate sacrifice. Another fucking MAGA family annihilator, by the way. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, it seems. Even British ones. This is what I mean when I say American culture is about killing your family members, okay? American culture is gun, burger, murdering your fucking family members. That's what it is. It doesn't matter. You could be trans and do it. You could be Asian and do it. There was an Asian mass shooter. There were two, actually. You could be black and still be a white supremacist and do a school shooting. You could be a young girl, a teenage girl, and do a school shooting and still it comes out that you're fucking a groyper. It's just the most American thing. What's more likely? Looking at statistical analysis, the likelihood that you are engaging in a school shooting goes up a lot higher when you find out that you're fucking far right.
A coroner's office was also conducting an inquest, a sort of fact-finding process, into the death of Lucy Harrison since she was a citizen of the UK. The report released Wednesday raised concerns about his alcohol use that day and said he took no steps to even familiarize himself with the weapon to enable him to check it was safe. The coroner concluded her death was a tragic accident, but also unlawful.
They specifically say that they are applying the laws of England. And so, it's kind of like if this event were to happen there, then the outcome may be different.
Russell Wilson is a former Dallas County prosecutor. He notes accidental deaths are prosecuted on a case-by-case basis, and not all result in criminal charges.
Regardless, the person responsible has to live with the consequences of their actions, whether they're labeled.
We're a nation of laws, brother. And in this goddamn nation of laws, what is this? Treating tattoos like a $1 game cosmetics? Oh, the coworker take. Yeah, I know. And in this here United States, one of the laws of the land is if you are shooting your daughter, you have your God-given right to do so.
Criminal or civil or nothing at all.
Texan laws on guns are so different to England.
Lucy Harrison's mother addressed the press after the coroner's inquest was released.
It results in too many deaths in the USA. Furthermore, it is mine and Sam's strongly held view that the US investigation led by the Prosper Police Department lacked the rigour and scrutiny you'd expect if this had happened in the UK. Lucy deserved better.
In our conversation, Russell Wilson said it's unlikely that the UK will pursue a criminal trial because the shooting happened here on U.S. soil, and it is the local law enforcement that takes the lead in terms of prosecution. However, the case can move forward in the civil courts, and civil lawsuits can be filed. We did reach out to Chris Harrison for any comment or statement, but we have not heard back.
Don't quote me, but in the article I read, he said some weird shit about his other daughters. That's why she got mad. This guy would have been immediately locked up if he was black. I mean, yeah, it's a nation of laws, baby. That's how it is. Dad shot daughter after arguing about Donald Trump. Now, the reason why this became news in the UK is because this happened on the 10th of January in 2025, last year. So why is it a news story in the BBC this year, 7 days ago? It's because it was such a normal incident from Texas standards that he's been walking freely since last year, since he did this. The only reason why this became a matter of national news in England is because there is a civil proceeding taking place right now. A British woman who was shot dead by her father while visiting his home in Texas had argued with him about U.S. President Donald Trump earlier that day. Lucy Harrison from Warrington in Cheshire was shot in the chest on the 10th of January in 2025 in Prosper, near Dallas. Police in the town investigated the 23-year-old's death as a possible manslaughter, but no criminal case was brought against Chris Harrison after a grand jury in Collin County declined to indict him. An inquest into Lucy Harrison's death opened earlier at the Cheshire Coroner's Court, where her boyfriend Sam Litter described the big argument about Trump, who was preparing to be inaugurated for his second term in office. Littler, who traveled to the U.S. with Lucy Harrison for the holiday, said she would often become upset with her father when he spoke about owning a gun. The inquest also heard how Chris Harrison, who moved to the United States when his daughter was a child, had previously been in rehab for alcohol addiction. Chris Harrison, who did not attend the inquest, admitted in a statement sent to the court that he had relapsed on the day of the shooting and had drunk about 500 milliliters of white wine. Littler said on the morning of the 10th of January, his partner had asked her father during the Trump row, "How would you feel if I was the girl in that situation and I'd been sexually assaulted?" Chris Harrison had replied that the two other daughters who live with him, so it would not upset him that much. We're a fucking shithole country, bro. I mean, no other way around it. Like, straight up, we are not a nation of laws at all. We are a fucking shithole country. Littler said Lucy became quite upset and ran upstairs. He told the court that later that day, about half an hour before they were due to leave to go to the airport, Lucy had been in the kitchen when her father took her by hand and led her into his ground floor bedroom. She was supposed to leave. He forced her into his bedroom and shot and killed her. Littler said he heard a loud bang about 15 seconds later, and then Chris Harrison screamed for his wife, Heather. Littler said, "I remember running into the room and Lucy was lying on the floor near the entrance of the bathroom and Chris was just screaming, just sort of nonsense." The statement from Chris Harrison said he and his daughter had been watching a news item on gun crime when he told her that he had a gun and asked her if she wanted to see it. They went into the bedroom so he could show her a Glock 9mm semi-automatic handgun, which he kept in the bedside cabinet. Harrison said he bought a gun a couple years before because he wanted a sense of security for his family. He denied ever discussing it with his daughter before. He said, "As I lifted the gun to show her, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I did not understand what had happened. Lucy immediately fell." Harrison said he could not recall whether his finger was on the trigger. I wrote a whole long thread on this and people commented saying they live in this county and had never even heard of it. They had no clue. He also lied to the cops initially and said he hadn't been drinking. According to the boyfriend's testimony, Lucy had previously expressed concern over her father having a gun. In the body cam footage that was released yesterday, the dad tells the cops, "She asked if I have a gun, so I went to show her." He acknowledged he had issues with alcohol in the past and said he briefly lapsed on the day of his daughter's death because he was emotional about her leaving. The inquest heard police officer Luciana Escalera, whose evidence was read, noticed the smell of alcohol on Harrison's breath when he was called to the house after the shooting. CCTV footage showed he had bought 2 500-milliliter cartons of Chardonnay from 7-Eleven store shortly before that day. Annie Samuel, representing Chris Harrison, made an application at the start of the hearing for coroner Jacqueline Devonish to recuse herself from the case, saying a fair-minded observer may conclude there was a real possibility she was biased. She said the inquest had been conducted in a manner more akin to a criminal investigation than a fact-finding inquiry. Lewis Norris, representing Lucy Harrison's mother, Jane Coates, said the application was an ambush by Mr. Harrison's legal team. She said Chris Harrison was the person in the room who shot Miss Harrison and the only person in the room when it happened. Vonish refused the application to recuse herself. In a statement issued by his solicitors, Chris Harrison said he fully accepted the consequences of his actions. "There isn't a day I don't feel the weight of that loss, a weight I will carry for the rest of my life," he said. Coates said her daughter, who worked as a buyer for a fashion brand Boohoo, was a real force of life. It adds up, though. Prosper, Texas is a ghost town filled with model homes, affluent areas where the cops probably thought nothing of it. I'm sure. Yeah. The reason this story is making headlines in the British press is because Lucy Harrison's death is currently being investigated by Cheshire Coroner's Court in England, where she lived. Last January, Lucy was shot dead by her father, Chris Harrison, at his home in Texas, but a grand jury in Collin County declined to indict him, so no criminal case was brought. He has been walking freely since. According to her boyfriend, who had traveled with her to the U.S., Lucy and her father had gotten into an argument the day over Donald Trump. On the morning of the shooting, Littler said Lucy had asked her father, "How would you feel if I was the girl in the situation I'd been sexually assaulted?" while they were discussing Trump. Chris responded that he had 2 other daughters living in their home, so it would not upset him very much, saying, like, "I don't care about you. I have 2 extra daughters." Littler recalled that Lucy grew quite upset with that response and went upstairs. Lucy would often become upset when her father talked about owning a gun, as in she already knew that he had a gun. So when he said to the cops the day of, which there's body camera footage of, for the record. I don't know if we have it right now. Can someone send me the body camera footage from that day? Because his response was, "Oh, she didn't know I had a gun, so I wanted to show that I had a gun." She already knew he had a gun. So the testimony from the other witness actually undermines the argument or the firsthand account of the perpetrator, the dad. Body camera footage captured the moment Texas police arrived at the home of a British man who fatally shot his daughter after they got into an argument about President Donald Trump.
She was just about to go to the airport.
Who is she to y'all?
That's our daughter. Okay. It's my daughter.
Okay.
And we were getting ready to go to the airport and we were talking about guns. And she said, "You got a gun?" I said, "Yes." I got it out and it just went off as she stood there. As I pulled it out, it went off.
Okay.
It must have been, obviously.
Did you put the gun on the bed?
I put it on the bed straight away, yeah.
Where was it at?
It was in the bedside cabinet.
Okay, you have like a little, you just keep it in there?
In a locked box. Okay. And we took it out to look. And
I think he was drunk and he was angry and he absolutely fucking shot her. Like, on purpose. The very fact that she knew that he already had a gun, according to the boyfriend's testimony, implies that this wasn't like the first time, right? The very fact that she was ready to leave and he actually led her by hand to his basement bedroom to show the gun when she wanted to leave, once again, shows that there is a level of premeditation. The testimony from the officers on scene also imply that he was drunk still. Like he was, they could smell alcohol in his breath.
As I picked it up, it went off.
Okay. Ma'am, I'll have you step over here and we'll come over here. Okay.
Can he go or somebody go?
Yeah.
She's not going now.
Okay, boyfriend. Okay.
Baylor, Scott White, please here and make a meal for me.
Yep, we got it. More than likely, honestly, she's probably going to go to plaintiff. Based on the injury. It'll be THR plaintiff. Okay. More than likely. I'll tell you here shortly.
Do you know if she's breathing or?
I'm not 100% sure. Okay. So.
If I shot one of my children on accident, I would absolutely be destroyed. This dude is way too fucking calm. Yeah, because he's drunk. Anyway, so yeah, that's the story. A story, unfortunately, that's all too fucking common. Which is why it blows my mind when people look at yet another incident of a MAGA family annihilator and go, "Oh, it's because they were trans. They were a fucking neo-Nazi." Who has a higher percentage? Who has a higher likelihood of doing a mass shooting or a school shooting or engaging in a violent altercation? Far-right neo-Nazis or trans people? The answer is far-right neo-Nazis. It's fucking ridiculous. They make up a large share of domestic terror incidents in this country, and yet our media rarely ever covers it as such. When they used to cover it like that back in the early 2016, 2017 era, Republicans made a big fuss about it. The Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice conducted separate investigations into politically charged instances of violence. Both of them found that it was actually infinitely more likely that someone would be a far-right domestic terrorist than a far-left domestic terrorist. Trump's own Department of Justice deleted that FBI investigation from its website last year. I'm not saying this to be like, oh, you know, all white men are bad and evil and are inevitably going to kill their families, by the way. I'm not making that argument at all. I'm saying that if you were to look at demographics, though, there is one demographic that is overrepresented in these instances. And it's the very same demographic that never gets the same kind of coverage. It's only talked about if the person is not a white man, a cisgender white man. It's fucking ridiculous. Christians, does this go hard or is it blasphemy? Hey, how did you find my tattoo? You can be LGBT and pro-Trump. Don't fucking conflate shit. You're as divisive as the goddamn commies. Trans Netflix star Laverne Cox plans to hoard estrogen following Trump's victory. Says America will be just like Nazi Germany. Trans my whole life. Post-operation. Back Trump 100%. Love America. They don't stand for me. They don't speak for me. Fuck these commie assholes. That's okay. Trump will have his own Rushmore. I call it Trumpmore. Real Republicans. Real MAGA. December 18, 2025. American flag. American flag. American flag. American flag. MAGA. April 9th, 2025. We're pro-labor, pro-union, and pro-MAGA in my shop. Stop it. February 7th, 2025. There you go. Yeah, was there evidence that she was a Nazi? Oh, wait. Yes, there is. It's fucking insane, man. Is right in your face. You're choosing to look at the fact that they were trans. Anyway, we're moving on from this to CBS. Not broadcasting Stephen Colbert's interview with James Tallarico.
Give it up for the band, everybody. Welcome back, my friends. Oh, this is exciting. Oh, friends, this is so exciting. Because that's not him.
Milquetoast Lives Like Colbert and Don Lemon are actually on the forefront of negotiating a pushback against fascism, or are we totally and utterly cooked? I mean, they are doing more than most, especially Don Lemon. I'm not gonna disparage my new friend Don Lemon, who I think understands the seriousness of the moment. I mean, I think Colbert is still, Colbert's still like playing fun and games here a little bit, but yeah, look, right now we don't have the luxury. Right now we don't have the luxury to fucking push people aside. Okay, we don't. It's just we need everyone. We need everyone we can get. And the same thing that I said post October 7 with pro-Palestinian advocacy. Anyone who joins us on this, on the side of justice, is good in my books. Anyone who is a real avowed anti-fascist is good in my books. Okay, because we need the liberals. The liberals are a part of the masses. Self-identifying liberals are, unfortunately, whether we like to appreciate it or not, self-identifying liberals comprise the largest group of political advocates in this country.
That's a stock photo we found when we Googled.
Wikipedia
not
updated
James
your
Tallarico.
photo.
Heck, I'm not even, and this is true, I'm not even a...
I don't know why they did that. There's like plenty of fucking professional photos out there. I guess like people are fucking around, you know. This is a crazy photo. Bruh. It can't be copyrighted. Deadass, you becoming besties in my #1 op is so on brand for you. It has to be public domain. I guess. Colbert, the guy from V for Vendetta who gets black bag for making fun of Dear Leader, happens and normies will rise up. Yeah, I mean, I said the same thing with like Jimmy Kimmel, right? I said the same thing with Jimmy Kimmel. When Jimmy Kimmel was targeted, like that actually caused liberals to fucking wake up. And I'll take it. Okay, all right. Here's the James Tallarico conversation that took place. That CBS, compliant ass CBS, was too afraid to show.
What is your...
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me now.
There's an update. This is just in from CBS. The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting an interview with Representative James Tallarico. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. That's fucking bullshit. CBS is literally an op in this situation, by the way. Like, CBS itself, under the editorial guidance and leadership of Barry Weiss, working at the behest of ultra-Zionists and people who are pro-Trump, are straight up fucking lying, okay? Do you want to know why I know they're lying? Because Colbert has already interviewed Jasmine Crockett. Colbert has already interviewed Jasmine Crockett twice. Okay? Just so you understand, the James Tallarico conversation, they did not want to have it specifically. I believe Stephen Colbert on this 100%. They just didn't want to do it. They did not want to do it because they have interviewed other people in the past. They've interviewed Josh Shapiro. They've interviewed Jasmine Crockett twice.
Now is a representative in the Texas State House who is currently running for the United States Senate. Please welcome to the Late Show YouTube page, Representative James Tallarico.
I think the reason why is because the argument they can present, because like you think that Stephen Colbert is going to say no to interviewing Jasmine Crockett? No, of course not. Yeah, this story became unintentionally hilarious. Stephen Colbert and his team decided they would rather can their Tallarico interview and move it to YouTube than host Jasmine Crockett for equal time. And notice how it's the Republicans who are saying this. Very strange stuff. Okay? Jasmine Crockett has been on multiple times. Delete your account, says Norman Ornstein. To which people are replying, she wasn't a Senate candidate. Okay. But do you think Stephen Colbert doesn't want to interview Jasmine Crockett? Are you fucking stupid? The fact that they interviewed Jasmine Crockett multiple times implies they don't care about interviewing Jasmine Crockett. They just didn't want to trigger the FCC's ire. It's that fucking simple. Also, the irony here is that there is an addendum that exempts late night talk shows from the fair rule, regardless. James Tallarico is having quite a moment in Texas after the Colbert interview, and according to Google Trends, Texans are now searching his name at a very high rate just in time for early voting. So it unintentionally ended up boosting his profile, by the way. It had to, once again, just as everything that these dumbass Republicans do, it backfired. Just like the CBS, the initial CBS 60 Minute story on the conditions in the El Salvador CCOT facilities for undocumented migrants ended up causing people to look into it. It has the capacity to backfire once again. It backfired once again. Let's take a look at the interview now.
Now, here's the thing. I don't usually say this to a guest, but if people are watching this right now, it's because they found us online on YouTube. I did an act of the show that's on tonight explaining why. It's not the first time you've caused some drama. FCC opening probe into The View after appearance by Tallarico. Do you mean to cause trouble?
I don't know why they hate this guy so much, but it is certainly backfiring because as skeptical as I am of James Tallarico, because I've said this before, he got money from Miriam Adelson back in the day for gambling. He isn't aggressive enough on Israel as I would like. Having said that, however, this kind of aggressive attacks coming from the Republicans implies that they are worried about James Tallarico's success in the general. Tomorrow is the first day of early voting in Texas. All Republicans, make sure you get out, pick a Democrat ballot, and vote for Jasmine Crockett for Senate. Yep. I'm telling you right now, dude, they want Jasmine Crockett. They think Jasmine Crockett is a significantly weaker candidate. Do with that information what you will, Texas. Okay? Do with that fucking information what you will. Between this admission and the FCC attacks against Tallarico, it's obvious to me that the Republicans are terrified of going up against Tallarico in Texas as opposed to Jasmine Crockett. Not only is he a white Christian man, which, unfortunately in the state of Texas probably plays a role, he does that populist sentiment that we know has worked. It worked in the other Texas election that took place as well, where you had literally a fucking UAW union organizer win an upset victory in a plus Trump 23 district. Okay? Now, let me tell you something. Tallarico versus Ken Paxton. Yeah, Tallarico versus Ken Paxton actually brings up a really interesting race because Ken Paxton is MAGA through and through. And it's really interesting because Ken Paxton is also a uniquely weak candidate in some ways. His own party in the state has actually ousted him in the past. And then obviously coalesced around him once again, as they're known to do. Having said that, Tallarico is a uniquely strong candidate for the state of Texas as well. I'm telling you right now, that matchup could yield a tremendous upset for the Democrats. A tremendous fucking upset. Jasmine Crockett is uniquely weak, okay? She is an establishment Democrat through and fucking through. Her base of support is the conservative wing of the Democratic Party and the black voting bloc, whereas James Tallarico has the Zoran coalition, as Ed Germentum points to. Another poll showing Tallarico winning the Zoran coalition and Crockett winning the Cuomo coalition. Centrists have no idea how much their base has lost it. With white voters, Tallarico's 61 to 29%. With Latino, 52 to 32. With black voters, Crockett wins 82% to 10%. Independents go to Tallarico. Democrats go to Crockett by 48 to 43. Age 18 to 34, Tallarico wins 52 to 33%. Age 35 to 54, Tallarico wins 46 to 45%. Age 55 plus, the older voters go to Crockett 48 to 40%. For men, Tallarico wins 49 to 39%. For women, Crockett wins 50 to 39%. For the four-year graduates, people who graduated with a college degree, Tallarico wins 51 to 38%. This breakdown is almost identical to the Zoran coalition. This is, simply put, the exact battle that is taking place within the Democratic Party. Now, of course, in the general, especially against the outward Republican, unless there is a out of nowhere centrist Democrat that tries to fucking throw their hat in the ring in the same way that Cuomo did in the New York race, this is the real fucking battle at the heart of the Democratic Party right now. This is the real battle at the heart of the Democratic Party. You have people who are left flank candidates, and you have people who are establishment candidates. The establishment candidate leans heavily into the more conservative base within the Democratic Party. Minus the race aspect? No, the race aspect plays a role in this. Come on, guys. We can be adults about this analysis, right? The black voting bloc is the most reliable voting bloc for the Democratic Party in the general elections, but it also happens to be a more conservative, more establishment adjacent voting bloc for the Democrats in general. That's in the primaries. That's it. That's just the truth. Otherwise, Jim Clyburn, for example, would not even be a figure that is as consequential as he truly is in the Democratic Party. It's progressive versus blue MAGA, even when you insert race. No, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. Of course that is the case. It is progressive versus blue MAGA. I'm just saying that older black voters have a tendency to vote with the establishment, especially in the primaries. They are, when I say they're conservative voters, I don't mean they're like socially conservative, by the way. I'm saying that they are more likely to vote for a candidate that they think has a higher electability. And the electability argument for a lot of more conservative, a lot of older voters has not reached the same standards for plenty of other liberal voters who now look at Bernie-crat style candidates as the true electable candidates. They're still running on the old guard method. They're not necessarily conservative, and they will certainly vote, especially in a matchup against the Republican. They're not ideologically going to decide like, I'd rather vote for fucking Ken Paxton. Black people will never vote for fucking Ken Paxton. It'll be like 8 black people that votes for Ken Paxton in the state of Texas, right? That's not the case at all. So the real battle here is to first, in the primaries, try to convince black voters that the harm reduction voting or the electability voting candidate, the electability choice here is James Tallarico over Jasmine Crockett, which might not happen. So if that doesn't happen, you still win with the other demographics that you can convince. Cautious voters is a great example. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. I was trying to explain to my best friend, another black woman, why Crockett has been disappointing. She agrees, but sent me an article that cited how Jasmine has not accepted PAC money in this election. Her Israel trip was also pre-October 7th. I think these details are easy to dismiss for many risk-averse black Texan voters. I do suspect that this race is going to get even nastier, by the way. And I do think that they'll call, ironically enough, I think that there will be a racial component to the race, for the record, where people will talk about how James Tallarico is actually racist. It's already started to heat up a little bit. And that ironically will backfire. My estimation is, my suspicion is that narrative is going to backfire on Jasmine Crockett because people will go, okay, this is Texas. So you'll have conservative voters within the base of the Democratic Party that will turn around and go, okay, that's good for us, I think. Like then, like, okay, he's racist. Yeah, I mean, he's running in Texas. And that will, I think, snap establishment adjacent voters, the cautious voters, to vote for James Tallarico over Jasmine Crockett. She just said this 3 hours ago. Okay, well, there you go. There you have it.
We've all seen the attack ads that have come on behalf of my primary opponent, who supposedly wants to get rid of super PACs, yet doesn't have anything to say about the negative ads, the ads that are darkening my skin, and this continual kind of, if she wins, we lose. It's not even undertones right now. It is straight up racist. And I need people to understand that that cannot be the way that we perceive.
I swear to God, I swear to fucking God, I promise you that this narrative is going to backfire. I suspect, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the more you say James Tallarico is racist, the more people in your base that would otherwise vote for you will turn around and go, wait a minute, that could probably help us win? Because remember, we're talking about Texas, okay? We're talking about, if you're a Democrat in the state of Texas, you have already gone through so many instances of fucking disappointment. At a time like this, when Democrats are desperate to lean into anyone and everyone that can actually put up a strong fight against the Republicans, the reason why they like Jasmine Crockett is because she's seen as a fighter. Right?
If we are going to win, we are going to have to win because we are united. I think that, we've all.
Yeah, this is another one of those Hillary Rodham Clinton consultants, of course, in the tank, aggressively in the tank for Jasmine Crockett, of course. These were their competing Super Bowl ads. Wait, hold on. I'll play both of these. The Super Bowl ads. I mean, I know Jasmine Crockett had the anime ad, which was ass in my opinion. Versus I didn't see the Tallarico one.
Billionaires don't just influence politicians; they own them. That's why I don't take corporate PAC money. It's why I fought to cap campaign contributions. In the Senate, I'll ban billionaires from making unlimited secret donations. I'll stop members of Congress from trading stocks, and I'll raise taxes on those at the top to fund tax cuts for the rest of us. I'm James Tallarico, and I approve this message because our government should work for all of us, not just billionaires.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
The system is broken. Our communities are being terrorized. People are hurting. But Texas has a warrior who's fighting back. A champion for us, our votes, our rights. It drives the president crazy. So they tried to draw her out of Congress because they thought it would take away our power. They were wrong.
I'm Jasmine Crockett, and I approve this message.
Yeah, that's ass. It's straight dookie. Okay? I mean, it's AI. It's also utterly devoid of policy. No policy argument whatsoever. Just, I'm going to fight against Donald Trump. Okay? But another poll, Edinger Mentor says, another poll showing Tallarico winning the Zoran coalition, Crockett winning Cuomo coalition. Centrists have no idea how much their base has lost it. Alex Bronzini says, this is a leitmotif in my writing. The American center is driven by passions and grudges every bit as intense as those on the left, and that holds from the base to the elite. This is shaping up to be the most important thing I've written about in the Trump 2 era, because the demographics going for Crockett were the exact demographics of this event. This is the core of the centrist base. There is a very real, delusional, firm, committed centrist base within the Democratic Party that refuses to recognize that their politics is what lost Kamala Harris the election. Okay? They don't understand. They keep saying, no, we have to pivot to the center because you guys are fucking delusional. You have pie in the sky ideas, not realizing that Kamala Harris did that and she fucking lost all the swing states. She did that shit. She fucking did that shit. Stop appealing to this like mythical moderate center. Start running for things, not just against the Republicans. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, Adam Cochran reports Tallarico has flat out denounced attack ads in general. Tallarico's red box does not call for attacks on any opponent. Crockett's red box is requesting attack ads on Tallarico. Tallarico actively wants to ban super PACs. The ads she is taking, or the ads she's talking about from the super PAC has a dark, grungy video filter over the entire ad, image 2, so everyone appeared darker. The only other ad or media running in Texas right now featuring Crockett was the Ken Paxton ad, which used an AI caricature of Crockett dancing with John Cornyn. And that one I could see you wanting to complain about. It's disappointing to see Crockett triple down on this approach of identity politics and calling her opponent a racist when he has done nothing but praise her and advocate against attack ads and super PACs the entire time. I will say, though, I think Tallarico should be a little bit more aggressive against Jasmine Crockett. Controversial take alert. I think Tallarico should come after Crockett a little bit. He's pussyfooting around the issue. You have a fucking race in front of you, big dog. Get in there. Get down and dirty with it. Say she is silly. Say she's not serious about winning in Texas. Come on now. Stop with this fucking nonsense. They tried to do this shit already. They did it like 2 weeks ago with Colin Allred coming out and saying Tallarico is racist. Like, I can't believe, Tallarico is so racist. He's such a white supremacist. And he literally turned around and was like, I love you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about this. You will never be rewarded for niceties. Okay? Don't do this shit. Be a fucking shark. You were a goddamn shark when you took Miriam Adelson's money to advocate for casinos opening in the goddamn state. You can be a fucking shark against Jasmine Crockett as well. Cut this shit out. Crockett is popular with the resistance liberals. I don't think she's ever been a favorite of the far left. Bit of a pattern here of influencers talking their way into the same point. She has a longer resume and black women are party's backbone, so give her the nomination. Yeah, we are permanently stuck in a state of 2016 politics. And the ones that will transcend from that state of affairs will be the ones who learn from the mistakes of Bernie Sanders and recognize the success story of Bernie Sanders. Okay? You mustn't just channel the Bernie-crat message, the left flank democracy, a politics of class over other issues. But you must also recognize that Bernie Sanders made a lot of fucking mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes of Bernie Sanders was that he was far too soft on his opposition. Okay? He should have been lighting their asses on fire. That's it. There was never a moment where Zoran turned around and was like, oh, my opposition, Andrew Cuomo, is fantastic. No, he fucking cooked them. You got to do the same thing. Cook their asses. Talk about how the major problem here is business as usual politics. And Jasmine Crockett represents business as usual politics. Okay? We want to fucking win. We want to win elections. And we don't want to win with just business as usual politics. We want to win with a bold and radical vision, because that vision is what will inevitably stave off the Trump 3.0, Trump 4.0 vision that the Republicans demonstrate. We can't go back to business as usual politics that has lost to the Trump train twice. It's done.
I think that Donald Trump is worried that we're about to flip Texas. And Stephen, this is the party that ran against cancel culture. And now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, what we read. And this is the most dangerous kind of cancel culture, the kind that comes from the top. They went after The View because I went on there. They went after Jimmy Kimmel for telling a joke they didn't like. They went after you for telling the truth about Paramount's bribe to Donald Trump. corporate media executives are selling out the First Amendment to curry favor with corrupt politicians. And a threat to any of our First Amendment rights is a threat to all of our First Amendment rights. So I'm just,
I'm really thankful. To fact check you, my network said our cancellation was a purely financial decision.
Got it.
And I remain very grateful for the last 11 years. Now, you grew up in Texas.
I
Here
did.
you are.
I did.
There you are. You can prove it. They give you the adult boots as a child, and you're supposed to just grow into them, I understand.
That's right.
You served in the Texas House, and now you're running for Senate. The race, frankly, should not be as interesting as it is. Donald Trump won Texas by 14%. Why do you think this year Texas is considered a possibility by Democrats?
Well, I'm an eighth-generation Texan. My family has been in our state since it was Mexico. And across...
So you're going to get deported, is what you're saying.
Across the state, there is a backlash growing to the extremism and the corruption in our politics. And I have traveled every corner of Texas already, from El Paso to Beaumont, from Amarillo to Brownsville. And we've had thousands of Texans showing up to rally with us. And I can't tell you the number of people who come up to me at the end of these events and whisper, "I'm not a Democrat," like it's some kind of secret. And we've recruited 14,000 volunteers who are out there doing the work all over our state. We have, this is one of the most exciting parts. We have shattered grassroots fundraising records, all without taking a dime from corporate PACs. And so this is really it's a people-powered movement to take back our state and take back our country. And I feel like we're building something really special in Texas, and clearly Donald Trump has taken note.
Now, one of the things that's come up in some of the conversations you've had on the Texas State House floor, which some of the videos I've seen you do, and one of the things that's gotten you attention out there is that you are a Presbyterian seminarian. Presently?
Yes.
You're a seminarian?
Yes.
Okay. The right attempts to co-opt Christianity, to say that, you can't believe in God, you can't believe in Christ. I think that Donald Trump might have said something like that at the National Prayer Breakfast, like you can't actually be a Christian and be a Democrat. But the religious right is largely a political movement that references spirituality, but it's a political. What is your heartfelt?
When you were asking why they're so afraid of him, Hassan, he's a middle-aged, straight, white, male pastor openly saying that Christian nationalism has no ties to Christianity, that directly undercuts their narrative. Yeah. I mean, look, I will say this. I wouldn't give a fuck if he didn't do it's not about right versus left. It's about up versus down, right? Because Democrats have run, veterans and even pastors as well in the past. The ones that actually have staying power when Democrats do run these candidates are the ones who do actually take a leftmost position in their policy agenda. A lot of people forget, but Raphael Warnock was a great example of this as well. Now, of course, as a legislator, he's been incredibly disappointing, but he won, right? Radical liberal Raphael Warnock won. He was a reverend, and he fucking won that seat. So for me, the way I see it, these guys, their aesthetics, they can help. But what's truly terrifying is their vision, is their agenda. And while James Tallarico is not exactly there all the way, I will say that I am a fan of his commentary, especially his policy platform, his agenda, the way he communicates on these issues. I'm a lot more excited about him running than I am about Jasmine Crockett.
Hand out to the people who want to use religion as a tool of political power?
Well, for 50 years, the religious right, a political movement, that is the perfect description for it, they convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. Two issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, two issues that Jesus never talked about. Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers.
Also, yes, I'm racist. That's the other reason. As you guys know, I'm a big racist.
How we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was all about how you treat other people. I've said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. And I think in our faith, we've got to get back to those fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. And when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. Love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state in the state capitol in Texas, because...
Well, I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, please.
Because you did, as a state rep, you fought against the a bill requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in schools.
That's right.
Why, even on that level, do you think it's important to keep the separation, not just for the state, but for the church?
Well, because we are called to love all of our neighbors, including our Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, agnostic, atheist neighbors, and forcing our religion down their throats is not love. And it's why I've fought so hard for that sacred separation in our First Amendment, because my granddad, he raised me to believe that that boundary between church and state doesn't just benefit the state or our democracy, although it certainly does, but it also benefits the church. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice, its ability to speak truth to power, its ability to imagine a completely different world. And so this separation between church and state is something we have to safeguard. It's something we have to fight for. And I think we need someone in the U.S. Senate who is going to confront Christian nationalism and say and tell the truth, which is that there is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is the worship of power in the name of Christ.
I'm gonna be honest. I think one of the best ways he could fucking hammer this point is about Christian Zionism in general, and just be like, these guys love to put on a front about how Christian they are, and meanwhile they love defending Israel when Israel is slaughtering Christians in the origin place of Christianity. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
And it is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth. And I just want to thank you, Stephen, because I know you're not a politician, but you have really shown people in this country what Christianity should be and what it means to actually live out the teachings of Jesus, even in a talk show.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. That's very nice of you to say. I would never lay that compliment to myself, because I think I fall far short of what my standards would be. But I will agree with you on this. I think that it is bad for certainly my church or any religious organization to associate themselves from a political party. Right. How must it diminish God to be associated with something so small as a present political party?
That's right.
Because imagine this. Imagine that you managed to co-opt Christianity. Imagine if you managed to convince everybody that Jesus was on your side. If you then lose the election, sounds like you've got a pretty weak Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the key, is you don't want to fit the big thing into the small thing. Mm-hmm. And God is the biggest thing there is. And so to try to fit God into a political party, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, you've got it reversed. Mm-hmm. And so it's why I think we have to remember.
The play soundboard guys are just as annoying as the don't play the soundboard guys, by the way. I hope you understand. Like, y'all are being fucking insanely annoying.
To put those big things first, to put the love of God and the love for our neighbors before anything else. Because right now, what you've got is people baptizing their partisanship and calling that Christianity, when in reality, your politics should grow out of your faith, not the other way around.
Now, there's been some attention on your race in recent weeks after a TikToker that you met in person says that you privately said to them, and I want to get this quote, they attribute to you, right? This person says, you said, I signed up originally to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman, supposedly in reference to Colin Allred being the black man, and you've denied this.
Yes.
Okay. You denied that you ever said that.
That's correct.
Okay. Allred continues to talk about it, even though he's no longer running for the Senate, correct?
Right.
Yeah, very strange that fucking that perpetual loser Colin Allred is still actively trying to curry favor for Jasmine Crockett in this race and undermining Tallarico. Hasanabi head popping off on identity politics.
Listen to black women. Okay. Neoliberal, genocidal girl boss Kamala Harris or black liberationist communist Assata Shakur. Listen to black men. Okay. AIPAC Shakur, Cory Booker, or communist Black Panther revolutionary Fred Hampton. Listen to Venezuelans. Okay. The ones supporting the ousting of Nicolas Maduro or the ones protesting U.S. aggression in Venezuela. You see how quickly identity politics leads to identity reductionism and can have you absolutely fucking confused about what to believe? This is why we need to stop treating identity as an all-knowing monolith and engage things in materialist analysis and start thinking dialectically. And no, this is not me saying that caring or considering for people's identities is problematic. But this is me saying that we shouldn't be reducing arguments down to someone's identity because it can or cannot be a factor in their overall analysis or opinion. Listen to black women.
That's why I say, like, you know, like the very same people that constantly deploy the identity shield on the centrist Democratic side rarely ever are out there defending Cori Bush. They're not out there defending Jamal Bowman when they were being attacked mercilessly by AIPAC for their positions against Israel. They're not out there fundraising for Summer Lee. They're not out there defending Ilhan Omar. They're just simply using identity in this cynical way to people who actually do care about representative politics. Because the reality of the matter is, it's off-putting as fuck for, like, you know, most of the voter-eligible population. And the only people who do care about, like, not being offensive, and the only people who do care about, like, an empathetic approach to politics is people like ourselves. That's it. That's the problem. So the quicker you do away with people cynically deploying this shit, the easier it is. I don't play ball by those rules, and, you know, people yell at me for it, but I don't really care. I'll be honest. And I don't want people to think that because I'm pushing back against this, that, like, I'm some fucking reactionary. I don't want people to learn the wrong lessons here either. You know, I don't want, like, racist people to come in and be like, oh, yeah, that's my guy right there, Hank Pecker. He don't care. He don't care about black women or some shit, okay? I'm just saying, all people ask for you is to not be racist, Law. Are you talking to me? Is that what you're saying? Name one progressive policy, Tallarico. The entire argument for Tallarico comes down the race. I hate this bullshit that people do. Tallarico is not a progressive. I've already been very skeptical of Tallarico, but this is fucking not true. Okay? Between Tallarico and Crockett, Tallarico absolutely comes across as more progressive by wide margins. Whether it be, he doesn't support Medicare for all, you're right. I'm saying between Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. Between Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. That's the race right now. Okay? Taxing billionaires is an objectively progressive policy in this day and age. If Jasmine Crockett is not putting taxing billionaires at the forefront of her campaigning, that's not our fault. That's her fault. Okay? Jasmine Crockett has also gone to Israel on an AIPAC-sponsored trip. At least Tallarico has not done that. I know it sounds bare minimum, but given the confines of this fucking race, you know, that gives him more credibility with someone like myself. Jasmine Crockett is deeply, deeply invested in Adelson money is worse, in my opinion. No, the fuck it's not. What? Not only has he explained why he got the Adelson money, which is the reason for my scrutiny initially for Tallarico, he has also openly said that he is not getting a dime from AIPAC. We'll talk about that as well in a second.
So where does that stand? How do you, as someone who...
Hold on. Here. Let's just jump right into that part of the conversation real quick, because I think that also needs to be talked about more as well. Where is it? There's a... Oh, here it is.
Stance on Israel and AIPAC.
Well, I've never taken money from AIPAC, and I'm not taking money from AIPAC in this campaign. Seeing what's happening in Gaza makes me sick to my stomach as a teacher, as a Christian, as a human being. And our country's role in that slaughter makes me feel complicit in it. I think all Americans should feel that. Yeah. There was a theologian who said, I screamed at God for the starving children until I realized the starving children was God screaming at me. I think God is screaming at us in Gaza right now, screaming at all of us. And so I've said, if I am elected to the U.S. Senate, I'm going to use every bit of diplomatic and financial leverage to end the atrocities. I have already said I support banning offensive weapons to Israel. And I think we as a country...
Like, that isn't good enough for me, okay? It's not. What do you mean offensive weapons to Israel? Defensive weapons too, motherfucker, okay? 100%. But let's compare Tallarico's assessment on the issue and the moral clarity that he demonstrates on this issue to what Jasmine Crockett has said.
We have a moral responsibility to stop the death and the destruction. And we can. We uniquely...
No, they're not fucking kind of the same on Israel. What are you guys, crazy? Some of you unironically fail to see the fucking forest for the trees sometimes, okay? That is crazy. That is craziness. What the hell are you talking about? There is a clear difference between Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett straight up is like, yeah, of course we're going to be allies with Israel. The fuck are you talking about? Israel is the most valuable ally we have. All this shit. What are you, crazy? What is happening? The argument people are making is that he's more electable because he's white. Oh my God, shut the fuck up. That's not the argument that people are making, okay? God damn. Also, that's not a fucking problem when people are talking about why Kamala lost, apparently. I was the one who was saying it doesn't matter. These are hurdles, but hurdles you can clear, okay? God damn, people just love fucking slamming identity politics into everything. Holy fuck, I'm turning into Norm Finkelstein. Jesus Christ.
They're sending money to Israel.
I understand. I also think that if people are going to vote as it relates to foreign affairs, which typically is not how people vote. People typically vote based on how are the gas prices treating me right now? How are my housing costs treating me right now? What's my job situation looking like? Those are the things that typically drive our elections and how people decide how they're going to vote.
You got to call out AOC on this too, man. How is she better than Jasmine Crockett? Okay. Dude, you are fucking delusional. I cannot argue against your schizophrenic hallucinations. Okay? I'm sorry. AOC is even further to the left than Bernie Sanders on this issue. Okay? What the fuck? There's a lot of people on the timeline talking about how AOC voted for weapons to Israel. AOC voted for a weapons package to Israel. AOC never voted on a final weapons package to Israel, okay? She did actually vote to strike down Marjorie Taylor Greene's provision, which I was very critical of, and I criticized her on. And her defenses for why she did that was also terrible. But to say that AOC has not called what Israel's doing a genocide is fucking delusional. You are living in a world of delusion. I don't know why. I don't know why you guys do this. You can be critical of AOC's assessment. You can be critical of AOC not going far enough on the issue of Israel, as I am with Tallarico as well. But holy fuck, dude. One of the most annoying aspects of this kind of commentary is people consistently pushing my fucking buttons, the buttons I hate to have pushed, which is when you just straight up fucking lie. You see a goddamn Twitter post and you just go along with it. Holy fuck. I'm not even doing the, oh, my candidate has to be perfect or whatever. I'm not saying that at all. There's plenty of fucking room for criticism for all of the candidates, including AOC. But it is unfucking bearable when you guys come in here and just make shit up. Stop making shit up. Enough. I thought this was a community of high information voters, and yes, in comparison to the average person, certainly there's a lot more interest and investment in like understanding politics in here. But even you fucking fall, even you fall for this dumb shit. AOC is not as progressive in her track record, in her foreign policy as Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. This is true. But outside of like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, she is literally one of the, if not the most progressive congressperson. We talk as though because of her, they're working tirelessly to do a ceasefire lie that she told when Joe Biden was still in the running, that people just like literally say wrong shit about her track record. They like deliberately misunderstand things that she's saying. It's so fucking strange. Yes, Summerlee as well. I can't believe I did that, but Summerlee is another person in Congress that is also incredibly progressive. When you greet AOC IRL, do you say AOC? Yes, I do. I feel weird calling her Alex or Alexandria. It's strange. Here's the updated Congressional Palestine Tracker with tonight's HR 9495 vote. Top 10 members on Palestine are Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, Summerlee, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Delia Ramirez, Jamal Bowman, Jesus Garcia, and Andre Carson. Casually forgetting that AOC also voted to fund the Iron Dome and then doubled down when pressed about it. No, she didn't even end up voting on the fucking final package. The problem is she struck down, she voted against. This is what I'm talking about. She did not vote on the final package. Okay? She voted against the final package. The problem is she actually defended striking down the defensive weapons aspect. The defensive weapons provision that Marjorie Taylor Greene added into the fucking bill was totally appropriate. And at the time I said she should never in a fucking million years be outflanked by Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you are the leader of the left movement in this country, or one of the leaders of the left movement in this country, you can't be getting outflanked by the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene on this issue. You can't have Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can't have Marjorie Taylor Greene present herself as more woke than you on this. You can't. It's just ridiculous. Okay? Yeah. There's plenty of room for criticism for AOC, but God knows I've had my, Brenberger says, God knows I've had my criticism of AOC over the years, but much of left Twitter subscribes to a critique of her that's just phoned in from an alternative dimension. Let's start here. She's literally never voted yes on any form of military aid to Israel ever. She voted to fund the Iron Dome for a country committing genocide. Stop. False. She voted present on Iron Dome funding once. I slammed her for it at the time. And she voted against an amendment to stop the Iron Dome funding while leaving other military aid intact. But she voted against the underlying bill, which included both. I think she should have voted no instead of the famous present vote. And I think she should have voted for MTG's doomed amendment while still voting no on the actual bill. That part she did. But criticize her actual record instead of making up a worse one. This is right. Ben Burgess is right on this. Okay? You're doing it again. She did not vote on a bill that referenced the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. No. That one she didn't even defend, by the way. Once again, That one, she didn't even fucking defend. She actually said, we would, of course, strike down any bill. I would vote against any bill that turns the IHRA definition into legislation, into any sort of encroachment on free speech. She said no, she would not vote for that. Again, you're wrong. I'm sorry. This is not me defending AOC. This is me defending the truth, okay? And I say this as someone who is very critical of AOC. There are plenty of instances where she does not go far enough. There are plenty of instances where she ends up coming out and positioning herself as though she is against certain things when she is not. Okay? But if you are on the left, you have to care about the truth. You have to fucking care about the truth. It's fucking ridiculous, man. What are we doing? It's all fucking vibes. I feel like, and this is totally anecdotal, but I feel like Bernie gets less heat for his horrible approach to the issue of Israel than AOC does. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why people do this shit. I genuinely don't get it. I don't know what the fuck it is. Going after AOC when Ayanna Pressley exists is a little crazy. Her voting record shocked me. I think Ayanna Pressley is a lot more woke than I initially gave her credit for. I thought Ayanna Pressley was like kind of a centrist addition to the squad. Ayanna Pressley has actually impressed me with a lot of the votes that she has, a lot of the votes that she's made, straight up. Maybe it's my misogynoir for underestimating Ayanna Pressley's like track record initially. Are we going to address the misogyny in the room? Well, considering that we're talking about Jasmine Crockett right now, I just didn't, I didn't think that it would be a part of the commentary, but yes.
When you start talking about foreign affairs, if that is going to be kind of like the precipice for determining whether you vote or who you vote for, then I want people to really.
If Crockett wasn't backed by AIPAC, would you consider her over Tallarico? No, because that's not the only component of my criticisms for Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is openly an establishment Democrat, okay? What the fuck are we talking about? She's backed by cryptocurrency PACs, which is the only group in the country that has lower approval ratings than Israel, okay? What are we talking about? She's dead in the fucking water. I've talked about Jasmine Crockett's advantages, okay? She's bold. She can put up a strong fight. She can be very charismatic in moments that matter. She can have those high-intensity media moments that boost her national profile. But it amounts to fucking nothing if what you are saying in those media moments are just fuck Donald Trump or fuck Republicans. You have to also have policies that you advocate for. Hello, this is my entire advocacy. This is the fundamental plank of my advocacy, is you have to be policy first. So no, it's not even just about Israel and her shitty approach to the situation in Israel. This is dog shit, by the way. This is disqualifying from my assessment anyway, but it goes beyond that.
Our elections and how people decide how they're going to vote. When you start talking about foreign affairs, if that is going to be kind of like the precipice for determining whether you vote or who you vote for, then I want people to really dig in to foreign affairs, right? Like, and ask the question, which I think is a fair question. I think it's a fair.
Bro, I can't believe there are leftists in here that have bought the conservative framing on who Jasmine Crockett is just because she's a fighter and hates the Trump admin, unlike other centrist establishment Dems. I know.
Question of all the money is to ask the question of, well, why do we send money to Israel? Like, what is that about? And learn about the fact that this is an allyship that existed before I was around, before, well, no, the president was a baby. He was still around though. But it is an enduring relationship and learning the history of the region in and of itself. And I would argue that the most disputed land in the world is that land. And it goes beyond the Palestinians and the Israelis. But I mean, you can go back to the.
Yeah, but Jasmine Crockett is going for a Texas seat, so her politics can't be as free. But isn't she a Texan? This is super woke for a Texan, not gonna lie. Neek skit. she's running against a person who is literally openly infinitely more woke than she is on this issue. What the fuck are you talking about? The way that she tries to dance around this issue makes it seem like Talarico's statement on Israel is this.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Talarico gets asked about Israel and goes, Israel's doing an unconscionable starvation of children. It's unacceptable, all this stuff. The reason why I'm showing you this is because Jasmine Crockett is not there.
Romans. So
once again, Israel is not the only thing I care about, contrary to what my naysayers claim. But for me, it's a very good litmus test on how well you read the room and how invested you are in actually being bold and brave. Okay? Do you understand? It's a fantastic litmus test because it's an 80-20 issue with 80% of the fucking base supporting a fuck Israel position. Do you understand?
So one of the scariest things for me, if I'm being like 1,000 right now, which my team will beat me up about this later, but if I'm being 1,000 about this, when you think about, and because of the conversations that I've had, if the United States says we will throw away our 75 plus year relationship with Israel because we don't like their leader, then if we end up with Trump, we set a precedent for all these other allies to throw us away, because I have heard from other ally nations that they don't fucking like Trump, right? If we lose our allies, now I'm looking at the vulnerability of us, the people that elected me, and I am concerned about whether or not, like, we live in a bubble. You talk about bubbles, we live in a bubble. Because on both...
Keep in mind, we just lost Jesse Jackson today, who was an advocate for Palestinian liberation in the 80s. For her to act as though Israel is a new issue to black people is disingenuous as fuck. She clearly never talked to any black activists regarding Israel. No, she talks to establishment Democrats. That's it. That's the whole problem. That's the whole fucking problem.
Sides of us, we got water, and north and south, we got pretty decent friends, right? Like, we closer with the people up north than we are the people down south, but either way, we got friends on both sides, right? That don't mean that we are liked in this world. Like, a lot of people hate us, but it's about being able to flex. Like, oh, do you want to play with us? It's like, think about, like, those people that used to go to your school and they had, like, the biggest family. They had all the brothers and sisters. If you decided you was gonna fight one, you was gonna have to fight the whole family. Right. So you like, forget that, I ain't finna do that, right? But like, if it's just one kid, we may go jump you, right? That's the difference. And so for a lot of us, it's history. It's also thinking through possibilities in the future. And those are the conversations that nobody really wants to have and talk about. But it will set a certain precedent for allies.
I think we're going to look back at this campaign in the rearview mirror, and everyone that is, I mean, there's not a lot of people defending Jasmine Crockett in my community, but like the people that are defending Jasmine Crockett will say, Hassan, I'm so sorry. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. There will be a Hassan apology form for all of you where you will say, I don't know, I got captivated by the high intensity TikTok viral moments. You know, I really like how she fought against Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know, because it's so, dude, I'm sorry, even down to like the personal level, like she comes across as transparently in the game for herself. I mean, she's wearing the bleach blonde butch body t-shirt when she's doing this interview. It's like, so obviously all matter of winning elections is there's an element of performance in all matter of like election campaigning, but it's fucking nuts how much like she comes across like she just cares about her boosting her personal profile. Okay, like if you can understand Gavin Newsom doing the exact same shit, you can understand that Jasmine Crockett is also invested in it for the same exact damn reasons.
So Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. And if you haven't followed her closely, you probably assume that she's running as something sort of like a Bernie Sanders style, like squad type candidate, one of the sort of like the radical progressive wing of the Democratic Party. And that's because, she's very good at getting a lot of media attention and savaging Donald Trump and Republicans. You've probably all seen her doing that on MSNBC or CNN at one point or another. But if you actually look closely at her career, it's quite wild. She's actually basically just a corporate Democrat who is just looks and acts a little bit differently. I covered her first race in 2020. I have an anecdote about that race in my book about the squad, in which she's confronted with the question of what to do about crypto, because these crypto guys are going around the country. They were going after anybody that they thought was going to regulate them, and they were supporting anybody they thought would be friendly. And multiple people on her campaign told me that she just said, "Look, what do I have to do? Just tell me." And they're like, "Well, if you sign this policy statement and post it on your website, they won't go after you, and they'll probably give you a lot of money." She's like, "Cool, do it." That same campaign, she also attacked her Democratic opponent for taking corporate PAC money, bragging that she had taken no corporate PAC money. Within months of that, she started taking corporate PAC money, and since then has taken hundreds of thousands of dollars of it. And of course, if you're going to capitulate on those issues, you're also going to cave on Israel. She went to visit Israel on a trip paid for by AIPAC. There she is, and has overwhelmingly just voted the party line when it comes to sending weapons to Israel. So when it comes to corporate power, crypto, Israel, she's a very standard Democrat. When it comes to style, not so much. So we'll see.
That's it. And y'all are getting suckered because you're so fucking desperate, dude. And I understand that desperation. You're so desperate for anyone that is even like seemingly putting up a fight. But it's the exact same predicament with Gavin Newsom. Okay? Gavin Newsom is the exact same. Someone who is memeing on Donald Trump, but has the style, but not the substance. Jasmine Crockett is the exact same person as Gavin Newsom. Someone with a good deal of style, but no fucking substance. Okay? Stop getting fooled. Stop getting fooled by style arguments over substance arguments. I get it. You're just so desperate for someone that at least like pushes back, that communicates the anger that you feel, communicates the resentments that you feel towards the Republicans, especially when Chuck Schumer is the fucking leader of the Democratic Party. Hakeem Jeffries is the leader of the Democratic Party. Two figures that don't do that. I just can't see Jasmine Crockett as the same as Gavin Newsom. She's out for herself to build a brand for sure, but as a black woman, they need to get the bag. It's so hard for me to not. Oh my God. I feel like my own audience is out to get me. You say stuff like that, and then I respond, and then people clip the response, and then they go, look, Hassan is a fucking white supremacist. Yo, this isn't a small business owner. This is someone running for Senate in the state of Texas. Okay? Get your bag, honey, is not going to fucking work for that. Hello? Also, please, this is a socialist community. Please, I beg of you to stop doing this capitalism shit, okay? Please. More Fred Hampton, less Killer Mike, okay? Less Killer Mike, more Fred Hampton. Please, I beg of you. Especially not on the day that the good Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away. Oh, my Lord! It's about uplifting the black community with money and resources that normally flow into the community. I can't vote for her. I don't live in Texas, but she's not the exact same as Gavin. As a person running for office, Killer Mike catching strays. I mean, come on, he deserves the strays. Like, what are we talking about here? How are people to this day in this community not getting duped for optics over substance? Because it's a much trickier predicament when you're talking about issues that pertain to the black community. Okay, that's why. It's desperation that's tenfold in that situation. No, the response to that should not be, oh, fuck you, chatter. You're doing it, Paul. Fuck yourself. Okay, calm down. Because then you end up presenting a left version of the same type of resistance and hostility that black people experience by every other group in society. Okay. NRSC robocalled high propensity Dems, urged them to call Jasmine Crockett's office to urge her to run for Senate, then connected the caller to the office. The GOP also ran on and pushed around polls suggesting she'd win. Crockett then believed the AstroTurf hype and launched her bid. Website starting to circulate. Genocide Jasmine criticizes Crockett's record, voting to send Israel $14 billion more in weapons after it had killed 34,000 plus Palestinians. Voting in favor of omnibus weeks ago that sent Israel $3.3 billion more and barred funding for UNRWA and the AIPAC affiliated trip. And Ben Dixon, it hurts me to see, is totally, truly in the tank for Crockett. Tallarico has literally the same positions, not to mention is taking money directly from pro-Israel orgs as well as directly from the Adelsons. Y'all gonna fuck around and really start a pissing match by being disingenuous. Okay, in spite of all of that, it seems that Tallarico at least has the wherewithal to communicate a much better message than Jasmine Crockett does on the issue of Israel. Literally has a tweet on the AIPAC website right now. Why haven't you deleted this tweet that's still featured on AIPAC's website right now? As the sun sets on the 5th day of the month of Iyar Hatzamut, or Israeli Independence Day, comes to a close on the 75th birthday of Israel. Let's continue to dedicate ourselves to peace and prosperity. Here's to the next 75. She didn't write that? Yeah, no shit, she didn't write that. It's fucking nutty, man. It's nutty. Nina Turner saying, James Tallarico has the same stance on Israel-Palestine. Both deserve criticism for it. Didn't the other guy say he still wants to give offensive weapons to Israel? I may have misheard. No, not offensive. The other guy says he wants to give no offensive weapons to Israel, which, you know, is obviously totally fucking ridiculous. Because that implies that you can give defensive weapons to Israel, which I don't agree with. I think it's fucking bullshit.
This person says this about you. You say it didn't happen. How do you imagine this gets adjudicated, and what would you like to say to people?
Yeah, I mean, we know that misinformation spreads on the internet, and it's sometimes like a game of telephone. As I said in my statement, I did critique Colin Allred's campaigning as mediocre, but I would never attack him on the basis of race. I respect Colin Allred deeply, even though we have disagreements on the best way to campaign and the best way to win Texas. My job in this moment is to try to lower the temperature, is to try to remind us that we are all on the same team, trying to change the politics of our state and change the politics of our country, because we are seeing the consequences of losing elections as we speak. And we have a moral imperative to win in November in Texas and to win across this country, because that's how we're going to get things back on track. And so I know things get tense in a primary. I know stuff flies around on the internet. I understand that. But I'm trying to get us all to keep our eyes on the prize, which is remembering we're on the same team and getting out there, doing the organizing work so that we can win in November.
Have you spoken to Colin already?
I have. I call them after all this stuff came out and everything started to blow up, just to reiterate what I said in my statement, that I do respect him.
And how did that conversation go?
I don't want to reveal anything in a private conversation, but
Man, they both gonna lose? I don't even think so. I think that Tallarico has a better shot than Crockett does, but he has to fucking sharpen his rhetoric. He has to be more aggressive. These guys, for some reason, Tallarico has a penchant for good media moments. Like he went on Joe Rogan. He really impressed that crowd, and that's good. That's a good thing. And he is issue focused, and that's good. I like that, but he needs to have more fucking dunks. He needs to have more dunks. That's just what the media environment wants. That's what the media environment demands. He needs to mog. He needs to go out there to ASU and frame mog the ASU frat leader, okay? I'm sorry. That's just what he has to do.
I hope that he and I walked away with a better understanding of each other.
Now, you're serving in Texas House of Representatives. You've had your fair share of strange days. I understand you had to weigh in on legislation about, and I hope I'm reading this correctly, furries.
The ASU frat leader is a GDI? He's a fraud? A GDI? A goddamn independent? He's not even the leader of a frat? I'll be honest with you, okay? If we can't fucking trust Twitter clip farmers, what the fuck can we trust? At least we know he's Albanian. So there is that. For example, Zoran knows how to toe the line between running the happy, good vibes admin while also being sharp and critical when the moment needs. Well, sometimes, but in his campaign, it was better. Yeah, I'm not subbing again until you stop the soundboard. Chatters, I ask you, if you like the soundboard and you want it to continue, please subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, okay? The soundboard that has things like this.
Liberal, 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 happy fun, la la la, human smuggling, fentanyl deaths, forced government euthanasia, chopping up children's genitals.
Ooh, subs are rolling in. What about this?
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
You are manipulating statistics? I don't know. Kind of feels like people really fuck with it, dude. Kind of feels like people really are demanding more of the soundboard.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight.
He's down there right now looking up. That's right. He down there looking up at us going, hell yeah, brother. I love the soundboard. Kind of feels like people are fucking with the soundboard. Yeah. For every millennial we lose to the soundboard, we gain 3 in the... Just saying. Just fucking saying.
I hate white people. I hate white people.
Yeah. That's Austin, by the way.
Do not come.
I have some that's like, oh, hell no. I have, where is it? Oh, I have this.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Why you hate women so much? I don't. How dare you? I'll fuck with your unfettered joy. Keep the soundboard. Maybe add a few viewer submissions. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we got to add Trump's I'm going to come onto this because obviously right after I say,
do not come.
I need to go, I'm going to come.
Do not come.
And Holy Toledo as well. We got to put Holy Toledo instead of this. Or instead of this. Okay? Okay, fess up. Which one of you freaks taught Hassan soundbites? Go ahead. We just want to talk. He's like a dog with a squeaky toy. Yeah, we need Holy Toledo. Gen Xers love a good soundboard. It's so funny because Gen Xers love a good soundboard. You know who also loves a good soundboard? Fucking Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So it's not just Gen Xers and like boomers that love the soundboard. It's also fucking Zoomers and Gen Alpha. The only group, unfortunately, that doesn't fuck with the soundboard are millennials. That's literally it. Faillennials are the only group that don't fuck with the soundboard and have decided like this is bad. And it makes sense that there's so many naysayers in my chat because a lot of y'all are fucking faillennials. Bruh. Anyway, my streamer is in a shock jock era. Yep. They gave the dude with ADHD a soundboard.
One. And that it is a class one.
40-year-old streamer discovers Jester maxing is legit peak fun. Didn't fail. I was failed by my government. Yeah. I'll only sub if you keep the soundboard and I'm poor. All right, get to it. Chop, chop.
Damn, this guy's good.